On this upcoming Attractions episode of Midnight Double Feature, we've got trailers for Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, The Witcher, and more. Plus, our reviews for Ready or Not, Gemini Man, and Terminator Dark Fate. All this and more on this upcoming Attractions episode of Midnight Double Feature.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another upcoming Attractions episode of Midnight Double Feature. Matt, what's happening?
A bit of this, bit of that, man. Stoked for this episode. The new Star Wars trailer dropped pretty much the second we'd finished recording the last one. So I've been holding on to this for 2 weeks. And, oh man, yesterday I've been wanting... I was talking to you a while ago about I wanted to review Gemini Man, this podcast, and I never got around to seeing it. And you did. And so yesterday I fucking found a cinema in about 40 minutes away from my house, not close, and went directly there straight after seeing Terminator in like about 40 minutes away in the opposite direction. And I did 2 sci-fi movies in one day. I don't think I'll ever do that again. It took a lot out of me. But that's the type of shit I do for this podcast, man. So I hope you guys appreciate that.
Committed. I love it. Yes. I love it. But like, man, I'm just going to say, like, and give my kind of like, thoughts on it right now. That's a brutal double feature. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't say anything yet. You hold your thoughts, but everyone kind of knows my thoughts on these 2 movies already, so it's not that big of a surprise. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us for this upcoming Attractions episode. Like I said, we're going to be going through this episode. We're going to be talking trailers. We're going to be talking new movies. We're going to be talking 3 reviews, which is, kind of more than the usual 2 or 1. We've got Ready or Not, Gemini Man, and Terminator Dark Fate. I did post a little teaser in our after party group, which is on Facebook. So please go and follow that if you'd like to be a part of our wonderful, wonderful group. And get amongst it, pretty much, guys. We also have our feature presentation episodes, which we do every other week. So that's with me and Colin usually. We try and get a guest on there whenever we can. We love having a good guest. Next up, we're going hard, dude. We're going hard in the fucking paint for the next movie. We're doing James Cameron's 1986 film, Aliens. And not only are we doing it by ourselves, we're covering it with LSG Media's Josh. So we're really, really keen to cover that one, dude. And we're really keen to cover it with him. Spoilers, it was actually Josh's pick. So like I'm really keen to see what he brings to it. No pressure, Josh. But let's see how we go. And also, guys, we're on Instagram, which is at Midnight Double Feature, and Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. And you can listen to us anywhere on iTunes, on Spotify, YouTube, wherever. And please, please, please remember to rate and review us on iTunes. That would be very handy. We'd love to would love to know your thoughts, basically what you're thinking about the podcast and where we can improve and shit like that. We're always looking to get better, right? Because I'd like to go one way, and that's up, right?
All the way up, baby.
All the way up, baby. But yeah, man, let's, without any further ado, right? Let's kick this bitch off. Matt, before we get into any trailers, you just won an award for best editing.
Yeah, thank you.
Dude, congratulations.
Thank you, man. I was at the Sydney Indie Film Festival, and there's a lot of films in that festival. It's a 2-week long festival. There's a lot of competition of that, so it feels pretty awesome, especially for this particular project because I spent ages on it. It was my first time properly cutting comedy, and that's so hard. It was stressful, but in a good way, and just feels really awesome to have that particular element of the film acknowledged. So yeah, really excited about that. That project's called She's Not Your Type. Should be online about halfway through next year. After it's on the festival circuit, if you want to see more, hear more, you can find me at Velamat Films on Facebook. That's my little plug.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks, man. Thank you so much for
No, dude, I'm fucking proud of you, man. You're killing it. You're getting out there. You're doing whatever it takes. You're putting in the hours, man. And that deserves to be fucking awarded, so congratulations.
Thanks, man. It's all love, hey, like, it's why I do this podcast, same reason why I make that. I just fucking love movies. I love watching them. I love trying to make them and imagining, wow, what if I could be like these guys too? So it's so much fun. And it's sad is I meet a lot of indie filmmakers that don't watch films, and which is kind of crazy. Filmmakers don't watch films, but like for me, it's all about like loving it. Even the movies I hate, I love, because you give me the biggest pile of shit of a film and I'll watch it and I'll go, how did it get like this? What were the choices? Like everything about it is just great to me. So even if I like smash a film super negatively on this podcast, I still acknowledge that mine's probably shittier. So yeah.
I mean, that's positivity for you, dude. And you're a positive guy, so I fucking love it, dude. You're a much better person than me that likes to constantly shit on everything. So
I love you, man. I love you.
I like to use the word criticize, but that just
You're just being an asshole.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I'm not afraid. I don't give a fuck. All right, man. Let's get into this bitch. Let's start off with a big one, right? I mean, like we already teased it. Fucking. As soon as we stopped recording 2 weeks ago, the final trailer for Star Wars Rise of Skywalker dropped, right? And anyone who listens to this podcast knows that we are still big fans of this franchise. No matter who you are, no matter what you think of the Star Wars franchise and how it's kind of gone in Disney's direction, I think it's safe to say we both still are very much on board. What did you think of this latest trailer for Rise of Skywalker?
I think this trailer did exactly what we needed a Star Wars trailer to do, and that's remind us of. Okay, first of all, before I get into that, it has to show us that this is the end of a saga. It's going to feel big. It's going to feel epic. It's going to remind us it's meant to be the end of a legacy. Because the one thing Star Wars always did really great and inspired generations of filmmakers and an entire industry is the idea of trilogies. The idea of this is more than a film franchise. It is like a saga, And that's what this does with the big triumphant horns and this beautiful soundtrack and these like looks of just optimism, but like also like hope. Like Star Wars has always been really great about hope, which is what makes, everyone like loves those dark, like grittiness moments in Star Wars. And I like them too, but I like them for the reason that they make the hopeful, amazing fairy tale moments so much bigger as well. And that's all this trailer is, man. And I want this franchise to end. I want this trilogy to end with a bang, and this is giving me that vibe. So overall, like that's my biggest takeaway. Hey,
I think, I think I pretty much agree with every single point that you just made. This is such a J.J. Abrams trailer. And I mean that I mean that in the best possible way, because I love that director. A lot of people, kind of like bag on him because he repackages things from other directors, mostly Spielberg, which, you know what, I concede to that absolutely.
All right, on that point, no one complains when Tarantino does it. And Tarantino openly says that he does that, I
know. I guess it's all about like admitting it. I don't know. I don't fucking know. But I mean, yeah, man, like even if he does kind of like repackage and repurpose it, he still makes a fucking compelling movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like Force Awakens should not have been as good as it was. And I think, I think Force Awakens is kind of generally regarded as pretty damn good, considering that it had a lot of fucking weight behind it on its shoulders. Yeah, man, this trailer was just it started off and you got ray training and you got like, you've got this kind of like, again, like what you said, the score for this entire trailer before you get to C-3PO's big moment is already epic, and it's kind of like it's mysterious as well. The cinematography looks absolutely outstanding, man, when they're fighting on top of like the in the ocean there, and the waves are just raging and crashing and Kylo's all fucking soaked. It just looks beautiful. One of my favorite shots in the entire movie is when the TIE fighters are just like heading towards that ice planet, and you can see like the reflection of the ocean, and it just looks, man, it looks fucking great. Like I am so stoked for the visuals in this movie, because I know Abrams loves to knock that shit out of the park. And then we get to the C-3PO moment, and I pissed tears. Like that gets me. That gets me every time. I've seen this trailer quite a few times now since it came out, and every time, like, 3PO pauses, like, between, he's like, taking one last look, sir, and then, like, he pauses and he's like, at my friends, and he puts his hand on R2, and then Chewie screams, and then the crash of the music, that the classic John Williams score, just comes over the trailer, and it's just like, goddamn, that fucking hit me. That hit me so good, dude, and like. Man, there's another moment, and like they always happen just before like the titles kind of appear on screen. I think it says the end of the saga, and it's like immediately right after you get that shot of Lando screaming, and you got that Y-wing that's kind of doing that turn, and then the music just crashes again, and it's just absolutely stunning, dude. Like I can't wait. I mean, I judge the quality of a Star Wars movie by how many Star Wars moments there are. Okay, and I think I mentioned this in the episode that we covered in New Hope, right? Like, I mean, that movie to me is my favorite because it's loaded with so many quote Star Wars moments, unquote, and it's kind of like those moments where it's just like the triumphant and hopeful moments that you were just talking about that are just in there. Like again, Han Solo screaming out of the sun or the moon, whatever the fuck, at the end of New Hope when he's like, "Come on, kid, let's blow this thing, go home." Like that shit to me, that is peak Star Wars, and that is the most iconic, in my opinion, the most iconic Star Wars moment that there could possibly be. That's my favorite, and the closer you get to as many of those moments as possible in a Star Wars film, the better it is for me. Force Awakens definitely had that in spades. Well, even the fucking Last Jedi had that, dude. Like, no matter what you say about that film, that definitely had those moments. So, yeah, man, I'm really keen to see JJ bring this home. I know that there's leaked plots out there that I'm absolutely not reading because it's not my shit for any film, let alone a Star Wars film.
I read one, and if it's true, I don't know what it means. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't read much. But I read about a scene, so I don't know plot, and I hope I don't find any more. There's a shot in this trailer that may hint that it's true, and if it's so, what's crazy is usually like leaks could like make you, it could ruin things and stuff. But like just knowing what I might know now, it could be wrong. But I'm actually even more hyped because it sounds like they really want to drive home the legacy aspect, and I feel like the problem I think a lot of people have had with the new trilogy is the fact that it feels like it's just it's trying to be a new story, and it's kind of being like, forget these old characters, here are your new characters, and just like the older characters are sort of there to sort of like transition people in, and it feels a little mechanical, and it feels a little like not with love, and like very Disney mechanical type thing. And I think that's what people don't like. I'm 50-50 on it, but I'm getting the vibe in a way that hopefully, and don't quote me this, but I'm hoping that based on what I'm hearing, that this film could be like a love letter to Star Wars and Star Wars fans. I really hope, and when I see it in moments like C-3PO saying farewell and stuff, and I have no idea what the fuck they're going to do with Palpatine or the Emperor. His voice is in the trailer, but I really hope they're doing this a way to tie into things that we love about Star Wars and characters and moments, and so it's all there. Like, what's kind of sucked at the last two is like we've had a lot of farewells from old characters. If you're going to do that, this is the film to do it in. I just hope it feels right. I hope they do it well. I hope it feels like a celebration of Star Wars, No,
absolutely. And I 100% agree. But not only that, dude, just to add on that point, I've kind of really grown to love Rey and Kylo. Those two especially fantastic to watch, especially when they're on screen together, and especially Kylo Ren. I really want to see where they take both of those characters. I know there's complaints about Rey in particular, like her being a Mary Sue and like her kind of like knowing everything about it, but it's just like, you know what, go fuck yourselves, man. Seriously.
I think that a lot of the Rey criticisms are a little bit too hard. I think there's merit to them, but they're also often like too harsh. Like a lot of people complain like, oh, well, how does she know how to do all this and stuff? It's like, well, they went out of the way to introduce that she works with the staff. The whole second movie is about her training with Luke.
I'm not going to sit here and defend it.
But the main thing that I love to back you up there, and I've been saying this since Force Awakens, I still believe this to this day, Kylo Ren is the most three-dimensional and deepest character in this franchise. A lot of the characters are very one-note. Kylo Ren has levels to his character. And when you've got a great actor like Adam Driver behind it, who can actually tap into that really effectively, I find him incredibly compelling. And I know some people who might think on a more basic level, we're like, oh, well, he's not as strong as Vader, or he's not as like powerful or whatever. It's like, dude, you're missing the point. That's the point. That's the point of the rage. That's been the point of the dark side for the last fucking 8 movies, you know?
Exactly.
That's what we were missing in the prequel series with Anakin, you know?
Exactly. I mean, with Anakin, it was there and it was not subtle at all. Like, you know, it was just like, oh, my wife is dying, Padme's dying, and now I'm going to get angry because she's dead, and now I'm going to turn to the dark side.
Yeah, it was very like beat for beat. With this, it's like it feels so organic. As much as a lot of these things with these new movies feel a bit, sometimes they can feel a bit forced, I'll admit that. But like Kylo's character is so organic to me, and so I want to see more and more of it, you know? So if anything, even if I had absolute proof that this is going to be the worst movie of all time, I'd still be in for Kylo Ren. Like, he's so cool.
For sure.
And I can't wait to find out what they're going to do with the Leia character. I've never seen a franchise that had, like, I guess the only precedent we have for this is Paul Walker with Fast and the Furious 7, where they had to respectfully send off the character and alter, like, the plans as a result of that.
Yeah, James Wan had a hard time directing that film, dude. Just one thing. I think, oh, God. You kept talking and I just completely forgot now. Fuck.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Sorry, go on. What were you saying? Maybe I'll remember it.
Just like the way, how they're going to treat Leia, like, because they did say that they weren't going to try and CGI her or anything like that. They want to be really respectful. Some people weren't happy with the way that they did in Rogue One, how they did with that general. So I'm really
talking.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm interested to see how they treat that as well.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. Yeah. I mean, look. This is what I was going to say. This is so cool, dude. She has top billing in the film.
Who?
Fucking Carrie Fisher.
Wow.
Were you about to say? Wait, hold on. Hold on. Were you about to say Carrie Ann Moss?
No. Yes, maybe. I stopped myself.
God.
I stopped myself.
Blasphemy. He's committed treason.
I'm sorry. I may have had a few drinks before we recorded. I apologize.
Execute Order 66. All
right, man.
Look,
I think we should also just quickly mention. I think we should just quickly mention these new Star Wars movies again. They're what you want, but they look beautiful. They're some of the most beautiful.
Yeah, that doesn't even need to be said. Yeah.
Like, they look incredible. It's going to be a journey.
Totally, dude. And look, well, I think it's just safe to say we're both really keen for them. Well, keen for Rise of Skywalker. And, I mean, like, hey, we're already booked in for the midnight session. So, there we go.
And right after this, we got Mandalorian, baby. We got Mandalorian 2 coming up.
We have Mandalorian in, like, a week. Literally a week.
Holy hell.
That's how soon we have the Mandalorian.
Wait, does that mean Australia's getting Disney Plus next week?
Yes, this is confirmed.
Oh, so much money to fork out. Okay, I'm in.
I think it's $7 a month, which is kind of cool. But anyway, man, let's move the fuck on. We just had Halloween. How's your Halloween, Matt? Did you do anything special?
I went out to I went to the city. I didn't dress up this year, but there were some friends that did. Just pretty much saw a band play and
nice.
Went to a club. Yeah, nothing too crazy. What about you?
Oh man, I didn't really do anything. That was a Thursday. I went and watched Terminator, which I guess is a horror movie because it scared the shit out of me. Oh man, but I mean, like, look, the reason I ask is we got a trailer for The Grudge, right?
Yeah.
Remember that old fucking sweetheart?
Yeah. What's your history with the Grudge franchise?
Yeah, pretty solid. I watched, I haven't seen the Japanese one, so I guess it's not very foundational. But yeah, I've definitely seen the Sarah Michelle Gellar one, and then I've seen the second one, and I think I even saw 3 and 4, dude.
Were there 4? Holy shit.
There was 2 straight to DVD ones, I believe, from memory.
I know the first one, when it came out, what came out first, The Grudge or The Ring? I can't remember which one, but one of them. Right, okay. So The Ring started like this phenomenon of Japanese horror being Americanized, and I felt like The Ring and The Grudge just took over everything.
Well, I mean, The Ring was good, right? Like the Grudge was not. I mean, I think generally speaking, it wasn't as well received. Even though, look, it was Sam Raimi. So
yeah, well, we'll get into that. But yeah, I think the character design though is very iconic and memorable, and the sound effect. But that's all it has going for it. I did not love the movies. I think I only saw the first one. I was not invested, and what I do think is a fun, cool, interesting fact. Those franchises have continued on in Japan, and very recently, I mean, just a couple of years ago, they had a crossover. It was called The Ring versus The Grudge or whatever it's called. And the trailer was bonkers because neither of them fight in their own respective movies. So the idea of them fighting these two little demon kids sounds terrible. But you know
awful.
what? Freddy vs. Jason did gangbusters, so who knows? But as for this trailer, man, as for this trailer, man, like I kind of feel the same. It looks very
generic.
Beat for beat. Yeah, generic, been there, done that. In terms of story, I do love what's his name? Is it John Cho? Is that his name?
Yeah, John Cho.
Yeah, I do like him. He's the only thing going there for me. Other than I will give it this. I think it's a well-cut trailer. I think it's really interesting the way that they incorporated the Grudge's noise, that sort of shit with the music. I really love how horror movies now, I think maybe Us popularized it, or maybe it was another film, but Us was the first one I noticed it in. Those like weird, creepy strings, and how we're seeing them in horror movies now, especially trailers. That's fun. But that's literally all I can say. Everything else is pretty forgettable. Oh, it was kind of cool to see this new modern version of the hand coming out of the hair in the shower.
Yeah, I guess.
I might even skip this one. The only thing going for it for me is the fact that my girlfriend likes horror movies, so maybe we'll see it together. But that's it. I've got no other reason to go see it.
Hey, buddy, I'll tell you when it comes out. Comes out in January.
Well, there you go. Fuck, I missed that. But so there you go. You know it's going to be shit.
Dude, actually, you know what? As far as like horror remakes go, the cast for this is actually kind of solid. Like John Cho, obviously, like you said, right? But Lin Shaye is from the Insidious films. She's the sort of the old elderly lady. Andrea Riseborough is pretty popular. William Sadler was in Die Hard, like he's pretty popular. Damien Bashir has worked with fucking Tarantino. He was in Hateful Eight, and I believe he won I can't remember what movie it was, but he was in a best picture film like not too long ago. So there you go. But yeah, man, like this looks so generic and by the numbers. Like it looks like everything that we've seen in the 2004 Sam Raimi one. I'm not particularly interested. Even like the first Grudge, when it came out, like it had a bunch of hype around it. I remember like I was 11 years old and people were talking about this Grudge movie like in primary school. They were just like, have you seen this movie? Have you seen that? Have you seen this? Have you seen that? And I'm just like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go watch it. And we rented it, me and my dad. And we just found it to be so, I don't know. We never got into it. Like the only thing that was scary was obviously the noise, and obviously the design of the character, but like it just wasn't so... it didn't really click with me. Whereas the ring clicked with me. I remember that for sure. Like
The Grudge as the original film has so much going for it as this iconic sound. At the time, it's coming out of a time where slashers were kind of all the rage. So this kind of like, it sort of helped transition us into like the sort of phase we sort of are coming out of now, which is like more the demon spirit shit going on. I feel like we're starting to get a new trend of stuff, which we might talk about later. It had so many, and like that amazing shot of the hand coming out of the hair, so great. But this movie this trailer just sort of like, yeah, but like that's in the original. But in this now, it's just retreading the same ground, and it's not giving us anything new. So maybe if I was a new viewer, I was a lot younger, I hadn't seen the original, this might excite me. There's nothing to get me on board here, but I'm guessing like maybe the filmmakers went in knowing that. Maybe it's one of those films that are quickly made to maintain the rights. But if that's the case, why would I have a cast like this? Like you pointed out, it's not a nobody cast. You know, if it was a movie they wanted to sweep under the rug, they'd get a bunch of new name actors because horror is like the one genre you can get away with that. And they were just with one legacy actor attached to it. But yeah, like it's interesting, but it's not that interesting.
No, it's not. Like it's literally not. But yeah, man, let's move the fuck on. Let's talk about one that we originally like the trailer for it came out quite a while ago, but I don't know. I think it missed our little agenda. There's a movie called Uncut Gems. Did you get the chance to see this trailer?
Yeah. I actually did watch it a while ago.
This has been on my radar since the Toronto Film Festival.
Yeah, I don't know how we didn't talk about it. But yeah, it's Adam Sandler in a dramatic role. Not a common thing from him. I feel like Adam Sandler has been trying to make a comeback lately. Like he did his Netflix stand-up special, like that big return for him doing stand-up was kind of big in the stand-up world. Even though it was kind of more like a musical thing. And now he's got this big role, which crazily enough has a lot of Oscar buzz.
It does, totally, yeah.
The people are saying best actor.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. And that's why I'm fucking really excited to see this. Because, like, if there's one type of actor that can like turn their kind of like profile around, it's a comedian. Like comedians often tend to tap into their sort of like darker side when they're putting in performances like this. And man, I'm really stoked to see this. Like this also the genre of this film seems right up my fucking alley. Like crime, drama, mystery, thriller, and comedy. There's some black comedy in there. Not only that, though, this is directed by the Safdie brothers, who directed a movie called Good Time with Robert Pattinson, which apparently is amazing. I really, really want to get that under my belt very soon. But yeah, man, I wanted to bring this up because it just looks like a film that I'll be seeing day one. Like I want this. Like I love a good like indie crime caper where, you know, the protagonist gets himself over in over his head. He's got to find a way around it. It's dark. It's thrilling. It's, you know, I'm stoked, dude. What are you going to say this? Like, how stoked are you for this?
Like, if you say, "Hey Matt, come see it with me," I'll say okay. Here's the thing. Like, I would like to watch it because if it's going for the Oscars, I like to be on top of my Oscar picks. So I'll try and see anything that's got Oscar buzz. So this will be on for that. I do think though, like, I'm not buying him as a new character. It's still Adam Sandler to me. Sure, he's making less jokes, but his voice stands out so much. It's like, I'm still seeing him. But that being said, in his defense, this is not a role that can be played by anybody. Like, it's a big element of this character is his Jewish heritage. And Sandler's had a big tick for that his whole life, you know?
Sure.
So that needs to be considered. And do we know where it takes place? Is it New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got his accent his accent works for it and stuff. So I wouldn't say he's a shoo-in for the role, but it kind of makes sense to putting a guy like him in that. And it's also stunt casting, you know? You don't see an actor like that doing, like, we all love comeback stories, you know? We all like comeback stories. And it's widely known fact. Like Sandler's become a bit of a joke in the last 5 years or so, maybe longer. Like
longer than everyone, that, dude.
Like he openly sort of admits like the way his films are funded is like he wants a holiday. So a lot of his films are set in a place he wants to go on holiday to, you know. And since he put in that deal with Netflix, it feels like he's phoned in a lot of roles, but this could be a comeback for him, and I love a good comeback.
I'm really stoked, dude. Like this, I mean, you know me, like with the reviews, right? They don't define whether a movie is good for me, but they certainly define whether I'll see it or not. And this is sitting at 94% that I'm really fucking keen for, dude.
Also, it seems like a cool concept.
It does.
And like seeing the little fucking blinged out, was it a Furby? I think it was.
There's a review headline here that I'm going to read. Ready?
Okay.
It's very short. In 2019, the water boy has become a man. That's like it's praising his performance, and it's like in 2019, the water boy has become a man.
You know what? The journalist who wrote that, or critic, or whatever, wrote that, and when he hit enter, he was like, "Fuck yeah." I did it.
Johnny, shout out to Johnny Oleksinski from the New York Post. But yeah, man, like really, really stoked for that. That's from A24 as well, who seem to be knocking out of the park as well all the fucking time, right? But yeah, let's move the fuck on. Let's talk about an older one. You know, if you guys listened to our upcoming attractions episode 2 weeks ago, you would have heard that we made a bit of a blunder. Well, I made a bit of a blunder during our editing process, and we managed to cut out a few of the trailers that we talked about originally. Let's talk Bloodshot. Matthew, what did you think of Bloodshot?
So Bloodshot's interesting. Mutual friend from the after party, Rick, big fan of the character. and it's the first I think time we've seen a comic book character adapted from the I think it's called Valiant Comics universe. I think they're called Valiant.
Vertigo? Is it not?
It's not Vertigo. It's something else.
It's not Vertigo. Okay.
It starts with V though. It's I know confusing.
I'll find it.
I think it's called Variants or Valiant, something like that. Anyways, so Bloodshot's meant to be this like really violent character who has, instead of blood, he has like nanobots or some shit. And everyone's like, Vin Diesel, fuck yeah. They're treating it serious. And then we get the trailer though, and I don't know much about this character. And I'm just like, okay, I can't help but feel from the vibe, the tone, the special effects, everything. It's just Venom. I've seen this movie before. It's Venom with a Groundhog's Day twist. Except Vin Diesel's in front and center, so it may feel slightly Triple X-y, which is not a compliment, unfortunately. Triple X Return of Xander Cage was one of my favorite movies of that year, but for all the wrong reasons. It's the funniest, unintentionally funniest movie I've ever seen. I love to cover it on the podcast one day, man, just so I could like laugh at it. It is hilarious to me.
No, I'm kidding.
It is hilarious to me. But yeah, anyways, not saying this movie looks like it treats itself very seriously. It's the best thing about it. Which might
end up working and it's against it, right?
Maybe. On one hand, I feel like when Vin Diesel has too much control over a project, when he's also the lead actor, it just becomes a Vin Diesel jerk-off fest, which is not great. So maybe the fact that it's got some other property attached to it, it might like rein him in from a producer's standpoint. But at the end of the day, like this movie looks incredibly safe. The trailer kind of gives away everything. Like I know this whole movie from start to finish. Feel like I've seen it 1,000 times. I get it. It's Groundhog Day, RoboCop. I feel very been there, done that already from the get-go. They released an extended trailer, which is kind of the same thing, just retooled around. And I got the same vibe from that too. It's not much to say. The one cool thing is it has that one really cool shot where he gets shot, half his face comes off and like reverses back and comes back in. But I'm telling you, man, this movie's going to be really safe. The only thing it's going to got going for it is hopefully it's got good action scenes. If it's got some good iconic action scenes, not iconic, but just entertaining action scenes, it will do well. But I feel like it's going to feel very been there, done that. And I just can't help but think Venom, maybe without the awkward comedy, but it just feels like I'm watching Venom again, something like that. What do you think, man?
I can't believe we're talking about Venom again. I feel like Venom.
But do you get that vibe though? It's got that tone. It's got that genericness to it.
No, I understand. I understand the sentiment for sure. But it's like all I heard from you was like for a year straight was like Venom and Meg, Venom and Meg, Venom and Meg. And I'm just like shit, man. But no, all right, Bloodshot, right? So before this trailer released, they posted that GIF, and that GIF was just that shot that you just mentioned. It was him getting his face blasted away by a fucking shotgun shell, which looks fucking awesome, dude. I was like, oh my god, I can't wait for this trailer. And then the trailer dropped, and I was like, all right, let's see what we got here. And I was bored. I mean, I wasn't bored. It's just like there's nothing of note in it, other than that like face shot. Really, like it just looks like. And I posted it in the after party. It looks like RoboCop. I mean, like you can make Venom references for sure, but this is RoboCop, right? Like, I mean, the guy, he dies or his family dies or whatever the fuck, gets remade, and then he's tasked by a 3-lettered organization to go and do something evil, and then his memory is wiped after it, and then they task him again to do it. And that Guy Pearce is the fucking villain of this movie, right? Like he's going to be... And at the very end, in the third act, he's going to go, oh wait, the real bad guy is the people controlling me. And then he's going to kill them. And the trailer gives that away too, so... There you go. I'm gonna call it right fucking now. There's gonna be a scene where Vin Diesel is aiming a gun or a weapon at Guy Pearce, and Guy Pearce hits a switch and he turns off. Like that, I'm telling you, that's what it's going to be. He's like, there's a fail safe built into you, very much like RoboCop, that prevents you from hurting me. I guarantee you, that's in there.
And the line of dialogue, we already know what it'll be. Like, you can't do it. I know you want to, but you can't do it, can you? It was some bullshit about that, some social commentary about control or something. But that might even be giving it too much credit.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a shame. It's a shame because it sounds like this was a unique character. and they're just they're gutting it down to be the most generic, safe summer blockbuster movie. And I'm starting to get sick of safe blockbuster movies. I love my blockbuster action movies, but I want them to take more risks. And funnily enough, Marvel, who are like dominating and define that now, they're the ones taking the most risks these days, which is insane to me. But
yeah, we'll talk about risk taking when we get to Terminator. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I am laying down the seeds for that review, aren't I? In this entire podcast. But okay. Look, I am not interested in Vin Diesel anymore. I think as a pre-teenager or even like an early teenager, I was like, oh, Triple X, this is awesome. That first Triple X, by the way, not the the Return of Xander Cage, because he wasn't in the second one. So there we go. But yeah, I'm just not interested in him. And like seriously, any other franchise that he's in or any other movie that he's in these days, it's the propping up of the supporting cast that helps him out. He's not interesting to watch by himself. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. He's not going to be able to hold this up by himself. There's no full-on like supporting cast around him that can actually elevate him. It's not an ensemble piece. Of course you've got your supporting cast. Like I think her name is Eiza Gonzalez. She was in Hobbs and Shaw. She's fucking beautiful. And obviously Guy Pearce, but he's going to turn out to be the villain, so that's moot. But yeah, man, like, I don't know. We'll see how we go. The action looks very stylized. I'll definitely see it. I think there's going to be some hefty and some really awfully done CG in this movie because you definitely get some shots of that in the trailer. But yeah, I think ultimately I'm going to walk away kind of negative about it. Let's see if we get a better second trailer. But pretty much, if that's your first trailer that you're putting out right now, then man, like you're going to be spoiling some shit for your film.
Yeah, I think on that point, talking about Vin Diesel as an actor in his career, he's going down what I like to call the movie star route, where he's not playing characters anymore, he's playing himself. You look at Tom Cruise, he's Tom Cruise in every movie. You look at Dwayne Johnson, he's Dwayne Johnson in every movie. Will Smith, oh, you better believe it's Will Smith in every movie. Like, none of these actors ever switch it up. They always purposely try and stay the same. So like when you talk about, I don't know, Tom Cruise in a Tom Cruise film, you never call him Ethan Hunt, you call him Tom Cruise. When you watch Fast and the Furious, you don't say Luke Hobbs, you say Dwayne Johnson.
Unless Tom Cruise is playing Les Grossman in Tropic Thunder.
No, still, you call him Tom Cruise in a fat suit. It's amazing, but it's Tom Cruise, man.
Disagree.
I didn't even know his name until now. Like, so that's that, man. But anyways, but agree to disagree then. But still, like, that's a glorified cameo, I would say. The problem with Vin Diesel is, okay, bro, I like you, but you don't have enough shit under your belt to be this guy. I mean, you want to come across as this tough man guy, even though you've been acting next to The Rock for the last 5 films. But what do you got under your belt? You got that one film. What was the big one that you started in from like the 90s? Whatever the fuck that was. Then he's got the Fast and Furious franchise. What's the No, that was Dwayne Johnson. Vin Diesel.
Fuck. Sorry, I was thinking Man Apart.
Man Apart. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never saw it, but apparently it's good.
I don't think that's 90s. Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe it's 2000s. Okay. You got that. He's got the Fast and Furious franchise, who's played the same character for 1,000 years. And he's got Groot, where he just voiced and only did like 3 words of dialogue pretty much. And that's all he's got. And you got the Triple X movies where he's only done 2. One of them is laughably terrible, and
they made bank though.
Yeah, but like, you don't watch these films and you go, I don't watch him and go, I want to see more of Vin Diesel. You know, like he's kind of becoming a meme at this point, and I just feel like the best thing he's got going for him is what you said when he's got a supporting cast around him. Yeah,
I know that's how we think, but man, seriously, I know some people who are going to remain nameless, especially in our area that we kind of live in, that are way into Vin Diesel. Like, I don't know what they see in him.
Well, they're into him because they're not really into him. They're into him in Fast and the Furious. Because what else are they watching him in?
No. They're like seriously, I'm talking Triple X. I'm talking, fuck. I'm having a mind blank on another movie that he was in.
He doesn't have the He doesn't have the receipts, you know?
Yeah, but
outside
for
of Fast
us,
and Furious.
like that's for us, like right? Like I mean, like some people go to Fast and Furious just for him.
Oh, I keep forgetting he did Riddick, the Riddick franchise.
That's right. Yeah, but I mean, that's not the one I'm thinking of. I think there's something else.
But Riddick, it seems like he's basically the same character as Bloodshot or anyone else who does. I just feel like we see him all the time, and I don't buy him anymore as a tough guy. I used to.
I think it's garbage.
I feel like over the years, he feels softer and softer. And I don't know. I do like him, though. There's a likable element to him. But
why? Wait,
I don't know.
I want to get to the root of this. Why do you like him?
Maybe it's because we've been with him for so long, and he's been attached to.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe
he's been attached to films I've liked, but he's never been my favorite. I think he'd worked really great as a side character. You know, like you have the charismatic main character, and you got the tough guy next to him. Maybe Vin could be that, but he's really going to win me over for Bloodshot, I think.
Remember when he was in that garbage game called Wheelman?
Come on, man.
Oh man, all right, let's move the fuck on. But yeah, look, I'll still say it, you know, and I think you will too, right? Like we'll probably end up seeing that together, to be honest. But yeah, all right, man, let's move on. Let's talk The Witcher, right? Netflix's The Witcher. What do you think?
I want to be a lot more negative than most people are, but like it's because like I'm not seeing anything wrong with this trailer. It's just that medieval stuff, like medieval fantasy, it just doesn't do it for me. I have so much trouble staying engaged with that. Like I can sympathize with people say they hate sci-fi or Marvel films or something because I understand it because that's what I get from most medieval stuff. Game of Thrones, I like Game of Thrones, but it took me a while to get into Game of Thrones. Lord of the Rings, I think it's okay. People think it's like the greatest thing of all time. I think it's okay. And I get the same vibe from this. Like I can see you've got a big star, you've got lots of special effects. It looks like it has a big budget. I understand it's a big get for Netflix, but I watch this trailer, I'm like, okay, it looks cool. I'm probably not going to watch it though. If there's like a cool fight scene, maybe I'll watch it on YouTube. But the only thing I could probably take away from this is I saw some people online complaining about the way he holds a sword in a shot, the block. He grabs it by the blade. But then like a bunch of history nerds came in and were like, actually, that's historically accurate. Most movies don't show that. And so I guess that's cool. But I kind of feel like that's all I have to offer. Like, I know you love the video games, and this is not based on the games, it's based on the books. Does this tickle your Witcher fancy?
Honestly, yes. I fall on the positive side of things. Not because of the video games. I do like the video games, especially the third one, Wild Hunt. That fucking game is, man, that will consume your life, that game. But I mean, like, and I haven't read the books either, but just as a property, as a show, this trailer works for me. And I think I'm an easier target for it than you are because I actually do like medieval stuff. Like I like shows and movies that are filmed. Take place in medieval times. I just really like I like the vibe of it. I like the atmosphere. I like the fact that, you know, they just can't simply pull out a gun and shoot this guy. Like, you know, I like I like the thinking, right? Like I like the thinking of the medieval times as well. Like it's more barbaric. It's not like civilized. And I kind of like that. And oftentimes with medieval shows, there's an element of politics that comes into it as well. Like, you know, often you've got some like a royal power that's aiming to, you know, seek control or something, and then you've got this like a band that's got like going to mutiny against them. I don't know. I'm not saying that this is going to be in The Witcher, but I mean, I'm just saying that's an element that's often in fantasy shows or movies that I really, really like and really kind of like attracts me to it. This looks fantastic, man. Some of the action sequences filmed in this trailer are fantastic. There's some kind of like long shots in it that I'm really stoked for, and some of the choreography looks fantastic. The magic elements look great as well. There's not really much more I can say about it because I don't know where it's going to go. I wonder if he'll play Gwent. That's a little game that they play in the games, but I don't know. Henry Cavill looks great, man. Like, you know, I'm not one of those guys who are like, oh, he doesn't look anything like Geralt or Geralt. But you know, like he looks great. He looks fine, man. Like what the fuck? But yeah, man, I'll definitely say this. You know, when it drops on Netflix, like, and it's coming on Netflix. Don't forget that, right? Like, half of the fucking world has Netflix. Like, you know, you don't have to step out of your house and go see it at a cinema. This is going to be a massive budget production on your TV already, and I'm stoked. I'll definitely check it out. So
yeah,
for sure.
I think now. Feel free to slap me in the face for saying this, but if I have to put into words what I don't like about, I think a lot of medieval type franchises.
If I was to slap you, it would have been when you said that Lord of the Rings was just okay.
Look, no, I know it's revolutionary, it's great. It doesn't tickle my fancy. But like, I feel like a problem with a lot of these type of films is, to me, they lack a personality. It's like everybody's always the same brute. Brooding type who talks like this all the time, and we always have to go do this. And then they go to battle and they yell like this. And I feel like they're all the same to me for that.
Well, I mean, it's also a drama, right? It's a serious drama. Like you gotta, if you compare it to Monty Python and the Holy Grail, like, you know, it's a separate.
Okay, well, that's different. You know. Like, you know, but I don't know. Just like for me, like it lacks. Like, I'm not saying it doesn't lack personality, but it has the same personality to a lot of similar projects in the past. The difference is this seems like it's got a better budget in terms of being a show, and I guess it's a little stylized. The action, like, that's what I'm thinking. The action scenes could be coolness.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess it comes down to personal taste, right? And your love, your love for the genre is going to take a big part of it as well, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, like my dad is very much like you. Like he used to be like you, like in that sense. He's like, oh, it takes place in the olden times, not interested. Like, you know, my brother was the same way as well. I think he still is currently. He's like, oh, it's boring.
And what you'll see, like, you're right, personal taste is that, because when we get to the reviews, I do love sci-fi and I love a good fast-paced action flick. So, or just an action flick at the end of the day. And like when we get to the reviews, we'll talk about that too.
Hell yeah. Speaking of fast-paced action flicks, hey, segue like Matthew.
Woo!
Six Underground, right? Michael Bay, Netflix.
This is a good trailer. This is going to be fun. This is going to be great. I said this. So this is the other trailer that got cut out from previous episode. But what I said then, I also said this about Bad Boys for Life, and I'll say about this too. It looks like this is everything Fast and the Furious either should be or wishes it was now. We see these stylized cars, but it still feels realistic. It really adds oomph to the energy and the stakes of the action. And this is a beautiful trailer. There's some great stuff going on here. When I first watched this trailer, I was like, oh, I'm getting a real like early 2000s, 2010s vibe from this. It feels a bit old. And then I realized, oh, that's because Michael Bay shaped the fucking industry with this, and everybody's ripping off his style. And now we've got him doing a return to form. He hasn't done a movie like this in fucking forever. And it's just showing you, it's like, he's coming back and he's like, all right, bitches, the king's back, baby. This is how you do it. Because we haven't seen Michael Bay be the Michael Bay we loved in a while. Like ever since Transformers came along, he did a few other little things in between, but he's mostly just done like robots fighting each other. And I wasn't a fan of Transformer franchise at all, ever. So like he fell off for me. But when I see this trailer, I go, my boy Bay is back. I know a lot of people like to rip on him, but like he had some solid good shit in his early years, and I feel like he's back with this, baby, and I'm so on board.
I'm not even kidding, dude. When I was a kid, Michael Bay was my favorite director. Like, you know, that's before you kind of like realize, oh shit, there's Martin Scorsese's out there and there's Tarantino's out there, and before you kind of like develop a taste for that kind of film. But man,
he does action great. The Rock, dude. The Bad Boys movies, you know, so much
dude,
shit.
The Rock, the Bad Boys movies, Armageddon, the Island, which we covered on the podcast. We've only covered one film on Midnight Double Feature, directed by Michael Bay, and it's The Island. And I still, to this day, love that movie. I really, really, really enjoy the first Transformers movie. His best movie to date, in my opinion, is his... I'm not going to say last movie because his last movie was Transformers The Last Night, but the one before that was 13 Hours, Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, which is a true story about the Benghazi attack and the ambush there. Fucking great movie, dude. Fantastic. And, you know, Michael Bay, I will say this until the day I die, or, you know, more likely Michael Bay dies. Michael Bay knows how to film an action sequence, and he knows his strengths. Like, his strength is not in writing or, like, you know, getting actors to be the best actor that they can be. He knows what kind of film he's making, and I'm always on board for that, dude. I love a director who knows what they're making and who knows his audience well, and Six Underground 100% looks like that. Like, this is Ryan Reynolds. This is a $200 million budget Netflix film. And this just looks like fun, man. Like, immediately from the first frame, you get the sense that this is directed by Michael Bay. And I missed his visual style. Like, his visual style, like, even apart from the action sequences, is so unique to Michael Bay because it's so dripping with sauce. Like, you know, it's so...
Yes.
It's so dripping with Michael Bay sauce that you just know you're watching a Michael Bay film, dude. And I love that about him. It's all about excess. It's all about too much, like this. Too much, I guess, color or saturation, whatever the fuck. The music is always bombastic and loud. The explosions are massive. Even the acting is like next level fucking over dramatic sometimes. The cars are fast. The guns are loud. Dude, I am excited for this movie. I am so stoked. I mean, that magnet sequence just looks outstanding as well. God damn. But yeah, like this, I mean, yeah, I'm down. I'm 100% down.
The action movies need big set pieces that stand out. And this trailer clearly has at least two of them that just grab you. So it's like, fuck yeah. If I had to find a criticism, and I'm not trying to look for him, but like it sort of ends on like what I think's meant to be like a joke from Ryan Reynolds, who is incredibly hilarious. But there was like a thing where it's like, I don't know if it was meant to be a joke, but it was cut like it was. And I'm like, I don't know, are they going to try and do like some comedy in this? I hope. I don't know what to expect.
You got Ryan Reynolds, who's at the height of his career at the moment, and then you got Michael Bay, who actually inserts some pretty shitty jokes into his previous movies before.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm so on board for this. And I love how he always goes when it comes to action. It's over the top, but it's still grounded. It's like, it's surreal, but it's realistic at the same time. And watching this film, trailer, and I think we just really need to emphasize this and give credit where credit's due, is how like believably grounded it is. Like of all the stunts, nothing looks like crazy over the top cheap CGI.
I wouldn't say grounded. I wouldn't say grounded.
Okay, not grounded, but
I'd say practical.
Practical, you know, like watching, I don't want to spoil too much, but like Gemini Man has a lot of stunts I think you could have done with people, but it's just it just goes CGI whenever it can.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And it takes away. And it takes away, like hell, we even see this in the Bloodshot trailer too. Like when you start like replacing human bodies with CGI people and you start overdoing it. It can ruin it. And so seeing this, it's actually a breath of fresh air.
Dude, seeing that stuntman on the side of that building, like rappelling down that dome, man, that looked awesome. But not only that, man, I missed practical car crashes. Like, I missed the spray of the glass, the fucking tires bouncing around everywhere. And that's what, man, Michael Bay knows how to do a fucking car chase. Like, Bad Boys 2 for an example, right?
And it's got like real explosions, it looks like. And yeah, like looking, I'm really excited because we got this trailer and we got Bad Boys for Life, and they're both within the same vein and style. And I just hope it just brings I hope it revolutionizes the action films and just be like, look, you don't have to try and make everything like a Marvel movie now, you know? Because this is how they used to do it and they were great.
No, exactly. And look, you've got over the top stylized films. There's room for both, right? So there's room for these kinds of Michael Bay films, and then there's also room for your Mad Max Fury Road or like John Wick Chapter 2 or 3 or the first one, whatever. Like, I think there's room for all of that. You know what I mean? Like they differ enough for it to not become the same.
Yeah, I think John Wick especially is a great example of that franchise of like what I'm trying to get at, where it's not like grounded, but it's like realistic, practical, and seeing that in action movies now, those films are getting rarer and rarer, but I appreciate them so much more now.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears a little. Let's talk about a last trailer. This one is called Queen and Slim, right? It's a much smaller film. Kind of went under the radar a little bit. Didn't see anywhere on social media that was posting about it, but I follow a film page on Reddit that posted a poster about it, and I was like, oh, Daniel Kaluuya, fucking love that dude. I watched the trailer and I was like, damn, I am on board. What do you think about this?
Yeah, this is very. I'm Daniel Kaluuya. Is it Kaluuya?
Kaluuya.
Kaluuya. It's a very him type of film. I feel like, and it's like
subdued.
Yeah, and like this looks like just a really great story. Like the way it starts with like the police profiling type thing, but the twist of like they kill the cop and they go on the run. That's great, and it seems like it looks like this film has moments where it could be fun, but it's also got like a lot of great commentary going on,
totally,
and a lot of great moments for an actor like Daniel to really shine. Because this guy can act his fucking dick off, like
totally.
He is that fucking great, and like this is like the type of meaty role you could really chew on. He's acting alongside, he's acting alongside a newcomer. Who I'm keen to see stuff from. If you partner someone with an actor of his caliber, I'm going to pay attention, you know? I just think straight up, Queen and Slim, it looks like it's going to be a really good film.
No, I totally agree. And not only is the actress a newcomer, so is the director. This is the directorial debut. Unfortunately, my fucking internet is dog shit right now, and I'm so glad I called you for this podcast and not, Facebook Messenger you like we usually do, because my internet is going haywire right now, but I can't get up that director's name. If you can find it, I'd like to pay some respect to her. But this reminded me a lot of like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of story. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like this kind of like a love story. And then, they go on the run, they do some criminal activity, and like, yeah, it just looks like a fun time, dude. Plus I really like the font, like the font on the poster. I don't know why. It just looks cool.
Yeah. So this is directed by I think it's Melina Matsoukas. Yeah. Matsoukas, I think it's pronounced.
Sounds like Matsoukas, right?
Yeah, that's what I first thought, yeah. But so apparently this script is based on an original idea by best-selling author James Frey, and it's a feature film directorial debut, Melina Matsoukas, but Melina is also the executive producer of HBO's Insecure. So nice. Got credits to her name, and sorry, I was mistaken before. Jodie Turner-Smith is not a newcomer. She is in a sci-fi show called Night Flyers, but relatively unknown in comparison to the Daniel Kaluuya, who's like an Academy Award nominee to his name.
Oh yeah, Night Flyers is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I thought you were serious for a second. Yeah. I was like, you've never spoken about. Oh, he's joking, right? No. But yeah, it even says here. I'm reading this description on YouTube, but like it's clearly taking inspiration from Bonnie and Clyde and Thelma and Louise.
Oh hell yeah!
But it's like an African American take on that, which is like, hey, that's fresh. I'm down for that. Let's do it. And in 2019, I think that's a very, very relevant story.
Yeah, for sure. And fucking important, dude. Like, I'm always down to see that kind of story. For sure. I'll probably be there day one for this film. But, yeah, man, what do you say we get into some fucking reviews?
Let's get into some fucking reviews.
Get into some motherfucking reviews. All right, man, let's talk about one that, I don't think I've seen some very little movement and talk about this film. I think it kind of just went under the radar, but Ready or Not.
I can't believe that in half an hour I will be a part of the Ladomus Gaming Dynasty Empire.
Dominion. We prefer Dominion.
I honestly can't wait to be a part of your family.
There's just one more thing, and then you are officially part of the family. So, at midnight, you have to play a game.
Why
It's just something we do when someone new joins the family.
a game? What game? Hide and seek? Are we really gonna play that?
Well, the rules are simple. You can hide anywhere. We then try to find you.
So there's no way for me to win, right?
I mean, stay hidden till dawn.
No, thank you.
Good luck.
What the hell is this? How old is this thing?
I know you're in here.
Yeah, Ready or Not. Interesting project that I just saw literally just a few days ago. How about you start us off, man? Tell us, what do you think of Ready or Not?
So, Ready or Not was a movie that I saw 2 weeks ago, and I'm, me and my memory when it comes to a movie like, any movie in particular that's over a fucking week old. I enjoyed it, dude. I had a great time with this movie. It reminded me a lot of Cabin in the Woods. Like, for some reason, like, it was just, it took itself seriously, but at the same time, it was very comedic. It felt like a Joss Whedon script, actually, if anything.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah.
Just, I'm noticing a trend or something lately in film, which I think is really exciting, okay? I think we're on the precipice of seeing a new genre of film. And I think I might have mentioned, actually, I mentioned this about Ready or Not when I saw the trailer, but I wasn't sure, but I can definitely confirm it now. I remember then saying, look, this is clearly a horror film, but the trailer's cut like a comedy. I wonder how it's going to translate. So it turns out the movie is very comedic, but it's clearly a horror film. And we have a lot of horror films that have comedy elements. Hell, just like in recent years, we've had Halloween and both films by Jordan Peele. But this is like, you get some movies like this. I would say the Happy Death Day films are like this as well. Like, those aren't done as seriously as this one. And we've got a few others too, where it's like, it's a horror film, but the comedy is just as important, if not more important than the scares. It's still a horror setting. I wouldn't call it a satire. It's not like a scary movie. I wouldn't call it a parody, but it's tiptoeing the lines of that. So I'm going to call it's like a comedic horror, but I wouldn't call it a comedy. It's still a horror film. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like, I do know what you mean. These kinds of movies remind me a lot of the first Scream. Like, it's kind of self-aware of itself. It's very self-aware of itself. And Happy Death Day is a good example because the comedy in that was absolutely fantastic, and the comedy in this, in Ready or Not, was absolutely fantastic. And the reason why it reminded me of scary movie of Scream. It was because the comedy was done just as well as the horror elements in that movie. And for both Happy Death Day and Ready or Not, that was the same. Like this was a very kind of like self-aware movie that knows exactly what it is. Like what I was just talking about with Michael Bay. This is a director who knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. Or I think it's actually a duo. Again, can't confirm with my fucking shitty internet. I hate this internet so much, dude. I hate it so much. But yeah, like we know exactly what we're in for based on those trailers. And like, I'm going to admit, like, if you go back and listen to that upcoming attractions episode where we talked about it, really was not high on the trailer. Like I was like, this is going to be a bit of a throwaway. So this film was a nice surprise, dude. I was thoroughly entertained from start to finish. Samara Weaving as the lead character is a fucking masterclass. Like, she makes this protagonist so fucking fun to watch, dude. I loved every second that she was on screen. And not only that, the mystery elements of this movie run about as long as it does without it becoming too much, like too without it being a bit too fucking pretentious, like it gives you the answers kind of like as soon as like you want them. And yeah, man, it was just such a well done movie. It was so well shot. It was beautiful to look at. It was gory, man. Like the gore in this movie was fantastic. When she's climbing up that fucking that basement and she puts her hand through the nail, I was looking at that nail and I was like, I wonder if her hand's gonna go through it like the bullet hole, and it did. Lo and behold, it did. If I do have one gripe about this movie, okay, look, the supporting cast is absolutely fantastic, right? They're so fun to watch, especially the father. Holy shit, he is fun to watch. But I never got the sense that she was in real danger in this movie. Like I felt like all of the characters involved were kind of what's the word? Not proficient or not no, it would have been great if there was like one out of the family member that was actually really good at this, right? At this ritual, at capturing the person that is running away. But I didn't really get that sense, and I didn't really feel scared as a result. The end is also something that I saw coming. Like, I'm not even kidding. Because they mentioned it, what happened to the family. By the way, guys, this is all spoilers. So if you're listening to this, fuck off, man. Because they mentioned it a couple times. If we don't do this by sunset, then we're all gonna die. And I was like, what? How does that happen? Like, I never even considered that someone else is gonna come and kill them or something like that. For some reason, I thought immediately that they were just going to spontaneously explode. My mind went straight to that, and I don't know how, but it did. I was like, I literally turned to the girl that I watched it with, and I'm like, I bet you they're just going to explode, and that's exactly what happened. And the way it happens is beautiful, but again, little predictable for me. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed this movie. Really fun to watch. Really, really recommend it. I'd probably give it a solid 8 out of 10. Really, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I really enjoyed this film. I think in hindsight, though, the comedy did work a little bit against it in the sense that, the film wasn't scary almost ever, and it wasn't or much, and it wasn't. I never really felt like she was in real danger, which was a problem. But it's easy to forgive that when the film's so fun. His film is really fun. What his film does really great is it introduces all the household of characters and family, and they're all kind of got their own individual quirks about them, and they're all pretty interesting. I really love seeing my boy Seth from the OC back on screen too.
Yeah.
That was great. I thought the lead, I can't remember her name, but she was amazing. I thought she was really good. Samara Weaving. She was really good. And I think the last was generally great. The film sort of structures about, even though I haven't seen it, I think it's like a reverse Knives Out, even though I haven't seen Knives Out yet. Just the fact that it's like a bunch of people trapped in a house or stuck in a house together, except instead of trying to, and they're all quirky, separate characters. The only difference is they're all trying to kill someone rather than that. And that was a little bit of a problem with the film because it felt like, well, Samara Weaving's character was meant to be the main character. She didn't feel like the main character. I felt like we spent more time with the killers than we did the victim.
I didn't mind that at all because it was so interesting to watch.
I know that's where I'm troubled though, because on one hand it was fun and entertaining. On the other hand, it's like it killed the stakes. It meant there were no stakes. It meant there was no real fear or problem. It really cut out the drama, but they were fun and they were charismatic. So it was like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but I'm still happy with it, if that makes sense. I think everything's done very well. I think the production design's pretty cool. It's got this unique kind of vibe to it a little bit, like not just in like comedic tone, but like the fact that it's this old house and things. And something I really like with films I look out for, something that really helps capture my attention is like if you can create like an iconic silhouette. Like if you just showed me, if you did like a who's that Pokemon vibe and showed me a silhouette of Darth Vader, I know it's Darth Vader. And I really love how they introduced this character at one point. I will not introduce, but like show off this character where she's like this bride in a ripped dress with like shotgun shells around her shoulder, sniper rifle shoulders, and she's holding like this gun, just looking like a fucking badass. And it's like,
I immediately thought,
this chick
Halloween.
kicks ass.
Halloween costume.
Yeah, great Halloween costume. If I was a chick, I'd love to dress up as her for, you know what, hell, I'll do it. I'll go to the next like Comic-Con. I'll dress up. It was a cool outfit. Like this film is bursting with personality and character, and I can really appreciate. I think again though, I think this film has a lot of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing where the comedy is just so there that it interferes with the horrific elements, but I feel like the director did that almost intentionally.
Directors,
Directors,
yeah, I mean,
sorry.
Like you said, this is a new genre of film, and I completely 100% agree with that, because like it's not trying to be a horror film, and it's also not trying to be a comedy film. It's trying to be somewhere that fits in between that. In that it's a film that's meant to entertain you. Like, you're supposed to be along with the ride of this character, and that's it, really. I don't think you're supposed to be as scared as a horror movie, or you're not supposed to laugh as much as a comedy, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a riveting film and situation throughout. And like, if more than a comedy or more than a horror, I think it's actually more of a mystery, if anything.
Mystery? What do you mean? Like, what mystery? Trying to discover, will they get killed, or?
Well, I mean, like, why they're doing it, like where this fucking family tradition came from, like, because like the cold open is literally someone running into it's these two kids that are just running, and like, you know, one brother is like, hide here, and then the other brother is like calling out to the family about this guy, and then like for the next, I believe it's like 40 minutes, you're kind of like wondering, you're like, what the fuck was that all about? And you're kind of like given like small elements here and there to piece together what exactly this ritual is and like how it's going to go down in the end. And by the time you get there at the end, you're just like, oh fuck, okay, that was the direction. I think it's more. I think it's more of a. It's better to call it a mystery movie than a horror, if anything.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, but I do admit there is a mystery element. Just the interesting thing is, generally when I think mystery, I'm thinking someone's trying to uncover the mystery, where there's no character actively trying to uncover it. It's sort of just being revealed to us in pieces. So there is that sense of discovery. It is mystery, but like for me, that wasn't front and center. Like it was in the back of my mind, but my main thing was like, I was more focused on how she's going to get out of the house. You know, that was me personally, and I think everyone's going to take something different away from the film.
See, but she got out of the.
Sorry.
No, you're right. So like, she got out of the house, like about 3/4 of the way, right, into the movie, and I was like, that was quick. And then like she gets captured and, you know, gets into that car crash and then like heads back. Oh, well, is captured back. So I was just like, well, okay, she's already out. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was very soon. But like it kept me on my toes. And other than the end, it wasn't overly predictable either. Yeah,
it was interesting how they used kids in this film as well. Like how they were being indoctrinated into thinking this was normal and acceptable. And I think that was I wouldn't call it a theme because it wasn't like front and center, but it was like a little sub theme going on, which is interesting. But yeah, overall, I think this was it was a fun movie. I don't have much left to say. Do you?
No, not really, man. Other than probably go check this out if you haven't already.
I think out of 10, I would give it you know what? I'll give it an 8 because like, while I don't know if it's achieving everything it wants to do, it's still fucking solid fun. And at the end of the day, like that's all I want from a movie like this. I want to enjoy it, and I did enjoy it.
100%.
Yeah, good for them.
100%. For sure. All right, man. Let's move on. All right, let's talk big old Willie Styles versus big old Willie Styles. Let's talk Gemini Man.
I think I know why he's as good as you. He is you.
25 years ago, they made you from me. They chose me because there's never been anybody like me. We have to end this right now. You have all of his gifts without his pain. You made a person out of another person.
Oh, man. You want to start this off or should I?
You made a person out of another person. Oh, man. You know what? I'll kick it off if that's cool with you. Yeah?
Yeah. All
right, man. I did not like this movie. But I mean, like, I think you know me well enough, Matt, to know that I didn't like this movie, right? I didn't think we actually haven't talked about this movie. I saw this probably about 5 weeks ago when it actually came out. Because
I saw it last night at 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, man. If Ready or Not is fading for me, then this is kind of a distant memory now. Yeah, I watched it with a friend, and man, like this was This was brutal at points, man. Like, it wasn't engaging. It felt like, from the trailers, okay, look, let's get the obvious out of the way. From the trailers, it already felt like a movie that was supposed to be made in the 90s, which it actually was. This script has been around forever, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this script was supposed to be with a bunch of other actors. Like, it was supposed to be, I believe, with, at one point it was with Stallone. At one point it was with Harrison Ford. There was a whole bunch of actors that were attached to this at one point, and eventually it landed on big old Willie Styles. Where do I start? I was optimistic, right? Like I was optimistic because of the director, not necessarily because of Will Smith. I think Ang Lee has been putting out some pretty good stuff, like in recent years, especially, look, Life of Pi is fantastic. And his other works, I mean, like, he directed Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, like the fucking Best Picture winner. And I'm not going to go anywhere near the Hulk right now. but I mean,
watch
like,
yourself.
Yeah, I'll keep way away from that. But it happened. This was a movie. Look, it's not entirely riveting from start to finish. It's just kind of like things happen, and they sell this movie as like a big kind of like one-on-one action showdown between old Will Smith and young Will Smith, but that's not really what this is it? Like, that's not really what this movie is about. Like, you get maybe 2 altercations between the two, and then, I mean, predictably, they end up working with each other against the puppet master played by Clive Owen, which, by the way, if you're casting Clive Owen in a movie, you're immediately insinuating that he's a villain. Hello, looking at you, Valerian. But yeah, it was fine. It was okay movie. There weren't really any exciting action sequences, man. The CG in this movie was rough at points, dude. Like, the first time, actually, I think you get introduced to that awful CG is not young Will Smith. I'm not going to go that far because I didn't mind his CG, actually, surprisingly. Like, you could obviously tell around the mouth is weird. But for me, man, some of the human movements is just brutal, dude. Like, okay, the scene in Cartagena with the motorbikes and they're chasing each other through the bikes, the shit that they pull off with these bikes is just so impractical and doesn't really obey any laws of physics. And man, like, sometimes, like, look, what I did like about this movie, especially during that sequence, is the long takes. So Ang Lee would hold on like some really like long shots that were really impressive to me. Like, there was some really, really cool stuff that was happening there cinematography wise, but man, like, it just, you kind of throw that shit away and out the window when you introduce these really horrific CG elements to it. And I wish it was polished up a bit more. I wish it was like, I wish they spent more time on it. But look, Will Smith is okay. He's proven himself to be a serviceable action star, and it's not any different here. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is kind of wasted. Like, she doesn't really do too much. Other than that, man, I don't really have much else to say except this. Watching this movie, there was a great cinema reaction. So I'm watching it with my mate, and we watch movies quite often together, and she's like, so you know how at the end Clive Owen brings out another clone, right? Another clone of him, and he's kind of like this supercharged one, and they're fighting him, but he's like, the entire fight he's got this mask on, and like, we turn to each other and we're like, oh, he's got another one, that's pretty cool. And then, like, they beat this clone. They take his mask off in a massive reveal, and the audience around us goes, and we just look at each other like, is everyone in this room fucking idiots? Like, I was just immediately like, oh, he's got another one. Okay, cool. Right, great.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't think I'd watch this again. Probably not even if it's streaming, to be honest. It's not possible for me. It probably gets a 4, and that's being generous. What do you think?
Okay, so Gemini Man. I saw this movie with someone who absolutely fucking hated this movie. Like, acted as if like it just killed his fucking dog. I didn't think it was that bad. But I do, and I actually I had fun with this film. I had a lot of fun with it. However, it's like a McDonald's cheeseburger. You know, you're eating it knowing it's bad for you. You know it's technically not good, but it's a little fun. But this movie is, I think it fails at almost everything it sets out to do. So the big thing I think with this movie is its big selling point is it's Will Smith versus Will Smith. But the younger Will Smith, oh boy, it's very hit and miss. It's like, imagine, you know, Henry Cavill in Justice League when they had to like CGI half his face.
How could I forget?
But like at least with that, they tried to hide it and try and make up for it. This movie is so confident and cocky that they're like, hey, let's put this and put it in pure daylight and hold on to it for very long shots. And just, there you go. This movie needed a lot more money in its budget to help work on it because it's not consistent, the quality. There are some scenes, especially there are some scenes where the younger Will Smith cries, and those scenes look incredible. There's a lot of attention to detail. When you get some stuff, like especially the end when like they're talking at like the university, he looks terrible there. And I feel like,
oh my God, that university scene, we cracked up. We cracked up laughing because of how normal it was so suddenly. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, he's just going to school and they're meeting together in public, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you guys just battled like pretty much an army and took down, found out you were a clone. But okay, that's cool, man. No worries. This movie deserves to be on How Did This Get Made?
It should be. I think. I would love to see that episode. Hear that episode. But yeah, like it at times it looks. I don't know fully how they did it. Like, from my understanding, a lot of the time it's actually a completely like. It's not fully motion captured, I think. I think it's just the face is motion captured, and a lot of it is CGI. But there are points where it looks like it's Will Smith's 50-year-old body, but with the head of this younger 20-year-old Will Smith. I don't know if that's the case, but like there are points where like the hands and the body look like it was rendered at a higher quality than the face was. Like the face is in 27p to 720p, but the body's in like 4K. Like there are moments like that, and I couldn't stop looking at it because with this film, I should say, and I wanted to see this film because it does some very unique stuff with the way it's filmed, and I'll post this video to the after party, which I find it's really interesting.
Yeah, I'll get it up
the video editor who probably is like, I edit 24 frames per second, but this movie was shot in 120 frames.
Right.
Kind of like the first Hobbit movie and kind of almost nothing else. Like not many other films have done it.
Yeah, you can go watch it in high frame rate still.
Well, it's very hard to. In Australia, can you?
Yeah. There's like they were projecting it in in high frame rate.
Oh, I didn't know that because I know in America, apparently only 14 cinemas screened it in 120 frames. And I'm pretty sure I saw it in 24. And this guy I was watching who sort of saw both in a day and reviewed it, he was saying like some scenes are better in 24, some are 120, and it really affects the action sequences and stuff. So that got me really interested. And you could tell how it affected other things. Like it kind of feels like, it reminds me of the first Avengers movie. You know, with that, it feels like a soap opera sometimes.
Yeah,
like
that's Joss Whedon's background. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very that I get that vibe here too. So some of the scenes where they're just standing around talking during the daylight, it feels uncinematic.
Yeah, it feels like they were in different places. They were like one of the actors wasn't available, so they're just like, we're just gonna hold on your face for now.
Yeah. Oh well, that's the thing. I think that comes down to Ang Lee's style. So he does a lot of stuff where. Like he picks weird as fuck camera angles. I forgot how weird he is as a director, which sometimes is refreshing, and then sometimes it's like, well, that was a weird choice. So a lot of the conversations where you normally just have over the shoulder two people, it's a lot of POV shots of people just looking down the barrel of the lens, which at sometimes feels a bit awkward. And I can't think of any mainstream director who films scenes like that.
Just while you're on that note. I think he also broke the 180 rule. There was one moment where I noticed it. I was like, "That's jarring, dude," and like that's kind of like very. That's kind of very like amateur.
Probably. He does a lot of weird stuff in this movie. But the one time where like the one thing that's consistent that where it does work is in the action scenes where he does a lot of like video game type stuff. Like there's this one scene where it's from a point of view where you can see the hands driving the motorcycle. There are lots of like really long takes where the camera's doing literally impossible things. It can only be done with CGI. It's really fucking cool. And so especially that motorbike sequence, it's really cool. It's really over the top. It's also completely fucking impossible because like you said, it does not obey the laws of physics. It does some weird stuff and it'll go from human character to CGI character like that in very unnatural ways. Also, now, if you're willing to like, let me just finish this point. If you're willing to let that slide, you can have a fun time with it. And for me, pretending I'm like 13 years old again, because this movie feels like it's from 2005 for the most part. There's literally moments taken out of Talk where like they're like kicking each other with bikes and shit. If you put yourself in that mindset, it's really fun, but you have to also acknowledge that like it's also completely fucking stupid. So what were you gonna say?
Also, like, I mean, okay, you just kind of touched on it. Them kicking each other with bikes, right? Like, there is a man. Like he kept, so Junior is the name of Will Smith's sort of younger counterpart. And man, there is like so many times after like, you know, they get to that point where they stop chasing each other and they kind of throw down. There are so many times when Junior could have pulled out a knife or a gun or could have gone to punch him, but no, he decides to keep using his bike to kill him. I'm just like, what? I'm like, what are you hoping to achieve here? Like to the point where he ends up kind of like throwing his bike at him, and I'm just like, what am I watching? It's like showing off.
It's because this movie is 10,000% style over substance. It's all about being flashy and being really over the top, which is kind of cool, but you have to like switch your logic and brain off to appreciate it.
You can't apply any logic to it, and I just can't do that anymore with these kinds of movies, I think.
I can do that because like that's the only way to enjoy Fast and the Furious movies. I feel like they've trained me for films like Gemini Man, but I have to like really emphasize the fact that this movie does fail on a lot of things. So, for example, the plot has about maybe 10 to 20,000 plot holes. When you break it down, almost nothing makes sense. The ending action scene. Don't get me started. I'll just say that. Don't get me started. Like at first I was like, oh, okay, there's a few weird things. And I started talking about it with a friend and it's like, oh, remember this scene? I'm like, oh yeah. And then we start like breaking apart and go, dude, the timelines make no sense. A lot of things they say to each other, like there's no context for it. Like there's problems with this plot, but I can let that go aside because it's a cool showdown between Will Smith and Will Smith. But again, like the CGI is not good about 50% of the time, especially that end scene. I'm pretty sure they had CGI'd his denim jacket. I could be wrong, but it was so distracting to me. But it was very hit and miss because when they did do it, it was amazing, but it was so rare. And it felt like they weren't people interacting with each other all the time. And then on top of that, Junior's character, yes, it had the voice of Will Smith, but it was pitched up to a point and it sounded unnatural, like not real. Like they'd done some pitch correction to make him sound younger, but it sounded less human to me. So I'm hearing this as someone who edits audio sometimes going, this isn't what a human voice should sound like. And I get why they did it. It's to make him sound more younger, but it was so distracting for me. And at times it felt like the sound wasn't matching his lips properly, which also looked pretty fake a lot of the time. So that was pretty bad. And then we get to the third act of the film. I have a feeling, this is a random theory, but I have a feeling it was meant to end with them like raiding the base and maybe fighting 100 Will Smiths or some big action scene. But what happens is they're driving to do an assault and they get ambushed. So they have a fight in the street and then it ends. And it just comes out of fucking nowhere. So it feels like they were running out of budget or something. Go, okay, we have to shorten the film by 30 pages. So, okay, cut this out, make the fight happen in this scene. Boom. Because it kind of comes out of nowhere. And it's very sudden. I think Ramona Flowers, I forget the actor's name, but I love her in Scott Pilgrim. Winstead. Yeah. She feels like you said, a bit underused. No one has any time to shine really except for Will Smith, but that's what you get from Will Smith movies.
Fucking Wong is in this movie.
Yeah. And I feel like
Wong.
he wasn't used
at all.
As great as he could be. Like, I feel like they wanted him to say some jokes, but they didn't really give him much to do. And And yeah, I just feel like the big pull of this film, they failed on that, and the plot failed with it, and it's just like it's Will Smith interacting with an unbelievable version of himself. And I understand that nowadays, like, I don't think this technology is ready or cheap enough for them to do it for a film like this. I still had a fun time when I was able to switch my brain off and enjoy the action set pieces, but that's not enough to save this film, I feel. And it's a shame because I feel like Will Smith was really trying in this movie. I don't think he phoned it in. I think he really gave it his all. And I feel like they let him down. I feel like Will Smith, and also that's the other thing. If Will Smith wasn't in this movie would be like a 1 out of 10 for me. Like, Will Smith carries this fucking film with his natural charisma. If you had someone like Jai Courtney in the lead role, or I don't know, don't mean to call you out, sorry Jai, but you know, this movie could have been terrible because everything around him sucks, you know? And that being said, like, poor Will Smith, he's just been doing stinker after stinker lately. I feel like he's better than a movie like this. He's better than a lot of this shit, you know? But he's the best actor for a film like this because we've seen him as a young guy. We've loved him as a young guy. But yeah, I think for me, it's like a 4 out of 10. If I'm feeling a bit nicer, it could be a 5. It is a fun movie. If you want something dumb you could just watch randomly in the background, I can recommend it for that. But go in knowing you're watching a movie that's not of quality that you would want from a full ticket purchase.
Yeah, not a fan of this movie. I still had fun. I still had fun though. I gotta say, I still had fun. I think I actually, from memory, I think I walked out of this movie actually angry. Like,
wow.
I was like, that was a waste of time. And I never used to be like that, dude. Like, even for like
my
bad
mate
movies.
did the same thing. My mate did the same thing. He left pissed. I was like, you know what? It's not that bad, but it's like, that's because I was willing to. I went in thinking it's probably won't be very good. I went in thinking this movie reminds me of The One, which is from like 2002, starring Jet Li, which I loved back in the day. A lot of people, as a kid, when I was like 12 or whatever, I loved that film because I loved Jet Li. And it was the closest thing to another Matrix film because Reloaded hadn't come out yet. So, and like this reminded me of that, but that was better than this film. I can say that. It feels like an early 2000s film too.
Oh, it totally does. No, it feels like a 90s film. Like, it feels like Face Off.
Maybe, yeah. But if this movie came out 10 years ago, I might be more forgiving. But like, we've come a long way in the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So this film, interestingly enough, was, and I brought it up before, written by David Benioff, who we all know, right?
Okay.
Wait, you know David Benioff, right?
Fill in the listeners who aren't aware.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Game of Thrones writer, right? So Game of Thrones writer, works with D.B. Weiss, just recently quit the Star Wars project they were working off. But also, interestingly enough, this film was written by a guy named Billy Ray, who also had a hand in writing the next film we're going to be talking about, which is Terminator Dark Fate.
Oh, was that a segue?
That was a segue, and here's the music.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Nobody else is gonna die because of me!
If you don't make it, everybody dies.
Expect a big ping, brother. The whole body's a weapon. Sorry.
Dun 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 dun.
All right, Matt. So Terminator Dark Fate. All right, like I've been messaging you since Thursday, since release day, and I'm like, Matt, have you seen it yet? Matt, have you seen it yet? I need to get your thoughts, Matt. I need to get your thoughts. How do you want to play this? Do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
I think I hated the movie less than you, but let you go first. Maybe you can sway me a bit.
You're about to unchain me, dude. I hope you realize that.
I set you free.
I hated this movie with a passion. Man, did I hate this movie. I've thought about it, and the more I think about it, the more I hate it. The more I don't like it. I left again, like Gemini Man, angry, I left angry, and I was like, oh God, I really didn't like that. But then like I, did some reading about it, and I was like, you know what, maybe doing some reading about this might help, but it didn't. It just like presented more and more holes, and it just made me realize how stupid some of the decisions were, and it just like, God damn it, like what the fuck happened? What happened? Where do I begin? Where do I begin? Let me start off, and look, feel free to jump in here because I know you're going to be hitting on some of these big points because I'm going to be making some big points.
Let's break it down point by point.
Yeah. Okay. So
because I think a lot of them will spark conversations.
No, of course. So all right, look, the first thing that rubbed me the wrong way was pretty much immediately.
Okay, so major spoilers. People haven't seen it. This is the one thing. The first time a Terminator movie has not been completely spoiled in the trailer.
Right. Let me
this is a big spoiler.
Let me intro this, right? So you've got, you know what? The way this movie kind of sets the scene is pretty outstanding. Like I love because they know how to grab you. Like in the logos, throughout the logos, you've got the fucking tape from the penitentiary of Sarah Connor in Terminator 2 as she's
with
like
the music underneath.
Yeah.
And it's like, duh. It's
beautiful.
Dude, I start seeing it. I'm seeing the first 10 seconds. I'm hooked straight. I'm like, this movie's going to be fucking incredible. This is amazing.
How they get you. And hey, it's like a fucking old pedophile in a fucking white panel van luring a child in with candy, dude. I'm telling you, that's exactly what it is. Because like it's like Tim Miller's like, hey kids, or probably more appropriately, James Cameron, the fucking old man, is like, hey kids, you want to get on this?
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, so it opens with that pretty fucking awesome opening. There are some amazing visuals in the beginning, dude. Like it opens on that sort of like sandy beach, and like the water's going over it, and like each
2 years after T2. 2 years after T2.
2 years after T2, it's like this overhead shot of the beach, and it's like a top down, and it's revealing under the sand like this skull, and it's just such a cool shot with the titles. We're not there yet. Trust me.
Sorry. Yeah.
We'll get there. Don't worry. And then it's like, all right, and then a fucking Terminator, a T-800, walks out of the fucking ocean with fucking dual wielding plasma guns. Except it's cool, dude. Like it looks awesome. This is what we want to see. This future war that opens up every Terminator film. All of the ones worth fucking remembering, right? And then we cut to, because this is all happening while Linda Hamilton is narrating. And then we cut over to this beach during the daytime, and it's a flashback, and it looks amazing. I'm immediately transported back to 1991. The CG in this film, in this particular sequence, 100 times better than what we saw in Gemini Man. 100%.
A million times better. It looks like Edward Furlong, who was there. It looks like Linda Hamilton. Schwarzenegger has never looked better than he does in this scene.
And this is a franchise that's well known for, I guess, like computer generating and recreating Arnold Schwarzenegger a couple times. Yeah, both fucking Terminator Salvation and Genesis both had a digital version of him, and it's never looked better than it has here. And it's just like, holy shit, I'm back. I'm loving all of this. And Arnold walks up to John Connor and he shoots him in the abdomen with a shotgun, and he just walks off, right? And I'm just like, oh, that's a bold choice.
Very bold.
The fact that you did this 2 months after Terminator Judgment Day, like...
No, it was 2 years. 2 years.
Oh, 2 years. I mean... The fact, like, they still look the same. Immediately, I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, you just lost all of the goodwill that we got out of John Connor as a character in Terminator 2. Like, it's like, see ya. Like, you know what I mean? And, like, not only that, but you lost the bond between John Connor and the T-800 in that film that made that movie so fucking special. I know it's a new one.
It's a different Terminator. Yeah.
I know it's a new one, but for us at this point, we don't know that, right? So it's just like, oh, okay, well, you kind of like pretty much made Terminator 2 moot at this point. And then it starts making some other strides. Like, you start getting... You start getting the familiarity of it. You get Grace coming down from the bridge. You get the Rev 9 coming down in fucking New Mexico. And it's just like, oh, okay, so we're doing this again. Like we're doing Terminator 1, we're doing Terminator 2, we're doing T3. Like we're doing the Terminators are back. One's here to protect him, one's here to kill him. And it borrows elements from each of those films, especially Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, that I'll get to towards the end of this little review. I know I'm going off on a bit of a rant here, Matt, so bear with me.
I'll come in after you.
Yeah, no, please. It borrows elements from those movies that it borrows way too much. Like it borrows so fucking much from those movies where it's just like kind of like eye rolly. Man, like the no fate speech that Grace gives in the cockpit of that plane, I could not have rolled my eyes to the back of my head more. And I'm just like, man, why are we doing this? Not only that, but the killing off of John Connor. I can't, like, that is a step that I just can't seem to get my head around, because not only does John Connor die in this storyline, but the fact that we get this new sort of younger female character who essentially becomes the new John Connor anyway. And that is line by line what Sarah Connor says. She says he's the new John. Like, what the fuck? Like, we get to the same place anyway, like that we started in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we didn't go in a different direction or anything. We still have a resistance leader who needs to be protected. And not only that, the film is predictable as fuck. Like, when they're on the top of that train and she's like, you know, Grace is telling her why they need to protect this girl. And Linda Hamilton says, "Oh, it's your womb." And I was like, no, it's not. It's her. Like, I immediately said that. I said it's her. Like, I mean, like, this is the and that ended up being a massive twist. And like the movie makes it a massive twist. It's like a big fucking reveal, and it's just like, oh well, I fucking could have guessed that shit, which I did. This movie has problems top to bottom, dude. I've barely scratched the surface. The music is not very memorable. It was so it kept using the Terminator motif and theme that just annoyed the fuck out of me. It's like every time something big happens, or like Arnold comes into the screen, or Linda Hamilton comes on the screen, it's like dun 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 dun, and I'm just like, I know this is a theme, and I know we love this theme, but you need to stop using this so often. You need to stop overusing this theme. I know it's fucking epic. All right, like I know it's epic, and I love it. Fucking great soundtrack. James Horner did a fucking fantastic job with that fucking soundtrack. But that's all you're bringing to the table. You're not using the subtle sort of metallic clanging sound in Terminator 2 or anything like that. You're just using this big bombastic score, and it's just like, you're ruining it for me. Sorry guys, like you're just ruining it for me. Let's move on to the action sequences now. The action sequences are not that entertaining. I mean, I know that there's so much of it, which is great. Like, I'm always down for a massive, big spectacle fight scene, but it's like it felt so repetitive, and by the end of it, I just couldn't wait for it to end. Like the Rev 9 to me just wasn't super interesting. Like, he felt like a combination between the TX and the T1000. Like, he just kind of felt like a combination of the two. Sure, the splitting, like the duplication is a new element, but they don't use it to great effect. Like, they don't use it to great, I don't know, like they didn't use it very well. And it just didn't really jive with me. I do like the actor that they used for it, Diego Luna, who's fucking fantastic in the role, but they didn't really use this character who could have been great to great effect for me. Yeah, I don't know. There just wasn't really anything memorable here. Like, I mean, there was no action sequence where I was like, whoa, that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there used to be sequences. I mean, Terminator Salvation has fucking pretty solid action sequences for a movie directed by a guy named McG, right? But this just, it all felt bland to me. The CG was dog shit at points, dude. Like, the CG, I think, took me out of it so fucking hard. How is this a franchise that revolutionized CG in 1991 and now just can't put two pixels together? I don't know. I don't understand.
I think it's because, like, they're trying to do bigger things, right? Like, in T2, that holds up because you never, in the first two Terminator films, maybe the third, I'm not sure. I think the third doesn't do it much. But hell, even Salvation, none of those films, you never have Terminators trying to jump over buildings and shit. Well, meanwhile, the Rev 9 in
Yeah.
this, it seems like his mode of transportation is jumping over
And I get
buildings
that.
and dumb things. That's so, but like, that's what takes away from it because the CGI and stuff, the other films are trying to be more practical
Right.
and realistic. And this, like, I guess I get it. Like, in this 2019, you want to have big spectacle and shit.
Right,
but like,
exactly. In
you
a
can do
world
it in
full of
other ways.
superheroes and shit, you want to make the action stand out, but it's just not working for me, dude. It's not going together. It's not cohesive, and it's just like there's a point when it there's a point in the film, and I don't even think there's so like okay, look, James Cameron did the story for this film. Billy Ray also helped out. David Goyer helped out. There is a line in this movie that I still don't understand. So, do you remember when they're in the this is after they get Arnie? They're in that warehouse. They meet up with that Major.
Yeah.
And Grace says, "Hey, Major, what helicopters take off from this Air Force base?" And he's like, "Chinooks and Blackhawks. Why do you ask?" And she's like, because she can hear him. It's like an Arnie. He's like, "Oh, the Rev 9's found us." But the Rev 9 is not flying a Chinook or a Black Hawk.
Really?
Dude, no. A Chinook is the double rotor fucking massive big beast, right? And a Black Hawk.
So is it meant to be that she heard a different helicopter that wasn't one of them? Is that
I
it?
don't think so, dude. I don't think so. I honestly don't think so because it's just like it's so like I feel like the logic is we can hear like the Terminators can hear them hear them coming from a mile away, and it didn't feel like that they were listening to other helicopters, or maybe I don't know, maybe did I miss something in that sequence? Like are they near the Air Force base and they're picking up what kind of helicopters are taking off or every few seconds? I don't get it. I don't understand.
I know that was the Grace character. She is meant to be enhanced, but like I don't know. To be honest, that character was like. It felt like such a Deus Ex Machina character, Deus Ex Machina. Like he was in there for like 2 scenes and he dies, and they didn't really explain who he was.
They just happened to have him.
Like he was like, if you want to, like he was there to connect dots. He wasn't there,
and it felt
they didn't
so
put a lot
contrived.
of thought into putting that.
Felt so contrived, dude.
The film has bigger problems than that character, though.
It does, and I'm about to touch on one, and that's the T-800, right? Okay, like this is. Man, you can't tell me in Terminator 2 that Terminators have a very hard time, growing a conscience and barely have any sort of like functionality to express emotion. And then you can't tell me that this guy guns down John Connor and then goes and lives a normal life, gets married, gets kids, and does drapes. Like you can't tell me that. Like that's a lot to throw at me in like a scene of exposition in a movie. Like that's something that you need to set up previously, and it's not done, and it didn't work for me at all. I thought Arnie was great in this, by the way. Like character shit aside, I thought he was great. He played the character very well. Like he was very. It did bring back a sense of nostalgia in me to see his face blown off halfway again and see the metallic thing underneath. Like that was fucking cool. Linda Hamilton, again, she is great in the role, but they don't give her. I feel like they didn't give her enough. Like there was one scene that kind of worked for me, and that was the one you raised to me before we started the show. That's the one where she's like, "Oh, I'm forgetting John's face." Like, and then that scene lasts for less than a minute, I think. Like, literally, it's just in the woods and it's done.
Apparently, that's a reshoot too. That wasn't even in the original script.
And it feels forced. It feels like jammed in there, Yeah, I don't know, dude. This movie fucking sucked ass for me. It was not a good time for me at all. By the way, and I nearly forgot to mention it, and I would have been so mad if I forgot to mention it. The way they killed the Rev 9. Totally stolen from Terminator 3. Terminator 3, he takes out his energy cells, jams it into the T-X's mouth, and it blows up. Same shit here.
You are terminated.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just lazy as fuck.
I'll get into that.
Yeah. But
there's
look,
a lot more lazy shit that people miss with this film.
Yeah,
I'll get into.
No, look, you go, and if you pick up on anything, I'll bring it up as well. I'm sorry, I know I've been going on for a while. This is one that I've been meaning to get out of my fucking head.
So I did something I rarely do during your rant. Is I wrote notes.
Oh, beautiful.
So let me start with a conversation before I get into my stuff. Let's talk with the opening scene with killing of John Connor. I will admit, I went in expecting it because I read a bunch of spoilers. I only read a couple. That was one of them. And I went in going, I'll be okay with it if it's done well and if it's somehow to service Sarah Connor's overall arc. Because, and the reason, here's why I'm okay with it, and this is the thing I want to, and I'll get into whether or not I did that next. But the first thing I want to talk about is you have to, if you're going to bring back, here's the problem where they fuck themselves up. By bringing Linda Hamilton back into the franchise, you got to bring back John Connor as well, which means you have to deal with Edward Furlong, who as an actor has a really terrible reputation with the press. He's also looks nothing like how he used to then. He had a lot of problems with drugs and alcohol, and he fell off the cliff. Imagine if Charlie Sheen was less charming and not as well adjusted. That's kind of like what happened to Edward Furlong. Poor kid, he just got too famous too young, and Hollywood fucked him over. So they had to do something with his character. So I understand why they killed him off. It makes sense. But to have such a nostalgic thing and slap people in the face with that straight away, that's a lot. And I think what makes that, and so like, I don't know, like I wouldn't know how else would you do it. You've got to kill him off, right? Unless you have him killed off screen, like which is what they sort of did with Sarah Connor in Terminator 3, which still to this day I think is one of the worst decisions they ever made. They should have kept Linda Hamilton from the start. Imagine if Terminator 3 ended with her and John Connor, a grown-up John Connor, the new actor. They could have continued on to 4, 5, 6, and it would have been fine, I imagine. But anyways, that leads into the theme about, okay, you've killed off John Connor, so now you've got to service Sarah Connor's arc. That's a great motivator. It's a great thing to put it. That's cool. And it's where like the film starts to follow the Force Awakens formula, where it's like, we're going to try and redo one of the older films and have the older characters shepherd new characters to start a new franchise for a new generation. And Force Awakens did that really well. I think we can both say that. This film does not do that very well at all, and I'm gonna get into that. So it feels kind of shitty to give us a new character named Danny, who we don't know much about, and literally tell us you're the new John. It feels like a bit of a slap in the face. It feels kind of sucky, especially since, no offense to the actress.
Not as big as a slap in the face as something that I just totally forgot to bring up, and I'm sure you're about to bring it up eventually in your review, because I just realized I didn't bring it up, by the way. Sorry, go on.
She is the most passive character of all of them in the film, and she has the least to do, and feels more like a MacGuffin than a character. The character of Danny, I feel like you could have taken her out of the film and it still would have been the same. You just make them have to defend Sarah Connor or something else, you know? And so to have the death of this major important character to service this new character that is the least charismatic of the bunch, and someone we don't really want to root for, it kind of sucks. And they sort of imply at the end that the new franchise will continue with Sarah Connor and Danny. And I'm not interested in that because Danny was the least interesting of the film. Sarah Connor didn't have much to do. The best new addition was Grace.
Same exact shot as the final shot in the Terminator.
Fucking of course, you know.
Of course.
Why not? But we should talk about Grace. I can't remember the name of the actress, but she was amazing in this, I thought she was really good, all things considered. Mackenzie Davis, that's right. I knew there was an M. I thought she was pretty cool. She had a lot to do. She got to be a badass, and I'd be great. If you killed off Danny's character and kept Mackenzie Davis, I would be okay with that. Maybe Mackenzie Davis had to protect Sarah Connor. Boom, even better, right? Something like that. Like losing John for Danny kind of sucked. I feel the only thing Danny really brings to this film is this theme that the film wants to touch on about some social commentary about the Mexican border, which is done pretty terribly. I do not want to compare this film to The Joker, but like one of my complaints about The Joker was I feel like that film wanted to talk about mental illness but didn't have much to say or do with it. And I feel like this film does it 10 times worse with its political commentary on Mexico. I feel like by having the Mexican detainee center, this community about crossing the border. It feels like they want to say something, but they were just like, oh, it's a cool setting, and I had nothing to do with it. And 2019's political climate, with that being a major thing in American politics, it feels almost a little bit irresponsible. Like, what are they saying? We should go there with a killer robot and just stab everybody? Like, I don't understand like what they're trying to do with that. So that seems like a waste of a theme. Let me just move through this. But yeah, okay, I do want to say, what do you think of the Grace character? Were you into her?
Yeah, I mean, she was fine. Like, I kind of had a feeling that she was a hybrid anyway, but I guess they've kind of, I mean, look, I know she's not a hybrid. She's been enhanced. She was fine, man. Like, I've seen people like, you know, praising Mackenzie Davis like she's the fucking next coming of Jesus. She's definitely great in Blade Runner 2049, but didn't like her in this. I mean, I'm sorry, I just didn't. There's nothing really that jumped out for me. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Nothing really jumped out for me.
I think she was good, but like, and I get like they wanted to focus on the relationship between her and Danny, and this is where I come to my biggest problem with the film. This film is got way too many cooks in the kitchen, it's doing way too many ideas. Let's ignore the like, you know, trying to work around Edward Furlong and John Connor. Let's ignore talking about these Mexican themes and stuff and the border patrol shit. Let's look at our four main characters, right? Sarah Connor, Danny, Grace, and Carl, aka the T800. There are four people with their own arcs and stories lines going on, and as a result, no one gets the fucking chance to shine. They're always constantly stealing each other's screen time, and no one gets to do anything that lasts longer than a scene, which on average is about a minute and a half. So you get this relationship between Danny and Mackenzie Davis. I'm sure Danny lets us down for herself at the end, but that doesn't really do anything. And she, like I said, she's the least interesting of the bunch. Mackenzie Davis's character, she sacrificed herself Terminator style, but like you said, it comes as a plot point pretty much stolen from Terminator 3. And a big reoccurring thing in this film is it's saying it's new and fresh, but it keeps stealing ideas that's already been done before. So we keep getting this been there, done that vibe because we're seeing shit we've done. With Carl, like, look, I think Schwarzenegger was great in this film. I like the fact that they hadn't aged him up like they did in Genesis. Like he looks even more ripped here than he did in Genesis, which is even cooler. He looks good in this film, man. And I think he is great when he gets the chance to shine. There's a really good action scene towards the end. When you first meet him, he's got some great punchlines, and Schwarzenegger's always been really great at selling that robotic voice and tone. But he doesn't get to do much. And then you get to Sarah Connor, who she just comes off as very unlikable at times because she's constantly like
detached,
bitchy and bossy, and she's harsh. And it's not because of Linda Hamilton's acting; it's the scenarios they put her in.
Right.
And she's kind of being reactionary because she's used to fighting as one type of Terminator and she's used to having a certain way, and now everything's been changed, which will get me to Legion, which I'm going to fucking unleash on because that's my biggest thing.
Yeah, that's the point that I realized that I forgot out of my review. But dude,
I do want to keep talking about these characters though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just going to say something about Linda Hamilton. She still looks awesome holding a shotgun.
She does.
Totally.
When she gets to hold a shotgun, she holds the shit out of that shotgun. But here's what I think this film needs. It needs less is more. I think you either just have Danny and Mackenzie Davis, or you just have, maybe Schwarzenegger shouldn't be in it. Maybe it should be Linda Hamilton so she gets a chance to shine. Or you take out Mackenzie Davis and it's just Schwarzenegger and her.
Hypotheticals at the end. I've got an idea.
I just feel these four characters keep eating each other's screen time, and so no one really gets to grow to be interesting. We don't get to spend enough time with Danny for us to give a shit about her. And she's like, the whole film's trying to make us give a shit about her, but I don't like being told, hey, she's the savior of humanity, you have to like her. Get us to love her. That's how we learned to love John Connor and Sarah Connor. We got to see them fight for their lives. Danny doesn't really do any of that. Like, sure, at the end she goes, we'll set up a kill box, but that's it. So, I think if we had more time with each of these characters, we could love them even more. I think it was fucking stupid to kill off Grace because she was the one new element to this film I did like. And they killed her off, and then and I'm so goddamn sick and tired of seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger sacrificing his life to save everybody, because it means every film we got to meet a new T-800. And that means getting out of his age. It means you have to re-explain why he's old again.
Just while you're saying that, I don't think we're going to be seeing this franchise back for a long time. This movie is set to lose $100 million.
Yeah,
at the time of recording.
Well, that's what, they said the same thing about Genesis, so we'll see. No, actually trying to help that.
Yeah,
help
Genesis
them,
made bank.
Still.
This is actually projecting to lose 100 mil.
Yeah, well, so I really wish these characters ate less screen time from each other. Let's get into my biggest criticism of the film, and this is what kills it for me. Legion, the whole concept of a new system coming in, Legion, this plot point was taken from Terminator Genesis. They said, yes, it's true, you killed Skynet, but now you got to fight Genesis. And this movie, they go, like, they saw the negative criticism of Genesis, so they said, we'll scrap that, we'll start again fresh, and then they do the exact same fucking thing. They go, we couldn't defeat, you defeated Skynet, but now you got to fight Legion. And Legion makes no sense. If it's a whole new thing, why does it have HKs? Why does it have hunter killers? Why does it have Terminators? Are you telling me this completely new AI device created the exact same technology? Just fucking say it's Skynet, bro. It's one word. Call them Skynet. They're doing the same shit as Skynet. There's nothing difference between Skynet and Legion. They do the exact same shit.
Yeah.
And it just, I understand when The Force Awakens, they went from Empire to the First Order, like they could at least found a way around it, but it sounds like incredibly lazy writing.
Dude, totally. It's the same shit.
And it's
same shit.
You're retreading a thing, and it's like the only reasoning they sort of get, like we've heard from behind the scenes, like, oh, well, it's a continuation of the film, so there has to be someone new. But it's like, well, that's not fucking Terminator, is it? Like, you got this new villain that we have to meet, but they're exactly the same as the old one. Why not? Why'd you bother making a new villain when it's the same as the old one? Just give us that.
You got rid of my purple lasers too, bitch, in the process.
You did. And they just gave us Terminator Salvation with a grey filter over it. That was it.
You know what? Like, to me, Terminator Salvation remains the best Terminator sequel. Sorry.
As an after two?
Sorry, that's what I meant. As an after two, for sure. Yeah. Yeah,
a lot of people hate that film, but like I like it as well. I like all Terminator films. I like them all. I think I have a lot of merit in Genesis I can find. You get Arnie versus Arnie. That's a great scene. You get some interesting ideas. We actually get to see the future war play out for like 10 minutes or 15
solid
minutes.
As well, actually.
3 has some good scenes. This movie has some good ideas, but it falls short on almost each one.
Right.
The idea of killing John Connor and having Sarah having to deal with that and having to overcome that. Cool idea. I really like the idea of the learning process of a Terminator being around for 20 years, which it's not built for doing. It ends up learning, develops the equivalent of a robotic conscious, and then starts sending text to Sarah Connor so she can hunt Terminators together. That's kind of cool too. I like the idea. I think if you just put them in together and they learn to build a bond or a friendship the way that John and T-800 did, you could have done something really cool with that. But you kind of crammed it all into like a 2-minute scene.
Why is Skynet sending multiple Terminators back through time? I mean, if we watch Terminator 2 now, right? Like just knowing that like he survives this entire ordeal with a T-1000, but a T-800 ends up killing him anyway?
Well, I think, so here's the confusing part, right? And it's a big plot hole. Because what happens is in Terminator 1, and I don't know if they explain this in Terminator 2, I can't remember, but in Terminator 1, they say the human resistance won the war. But before it got shut down, its last-ditch effort was to send one Terminator back in time to kill Sarah. Now, I don't know how they explain in Terminator 2, but the way fucking Terminator Genesis starts, and I can't believe I'm going to praise Genesis for continuity here.
How do you remember this about Genesis? Jesus.
I rewatched it recently to gear myself up. And there are moments that I always felt that film got the short end of the stick. I think it's fun for what it is. But that movie ends on the future war, and as they end, they see Schwarzenegger's Terminator as young going back in time. They have to go back. So it makes no sense in the beginning of this film why there's a young Terminator from Skynet going back because he's from a future that doesn't exist.
No,
but I think these other Terminators are from Legion.
Well, no. Terminator Genesis is moot from this movie. Like,
No. I understand that, but like I'm saying that was doing good continuity in terms of what Terminator 1 did.
Like
right?
it did
this
better.
movie,
yeah, okay.
But this movie fails where Terminator Genesis succeeded because I don't understand unless they thought only one Terminator was sent back, but it's actually multiple. I think the Terminator she's been hunting though, Linda Hamilton's been hunting though, I'm guessing they were from Legion. That's the only explanation for it. But again, it's not clear unless they're getting two sets of Terminators from two separate timelines of Skynet and Legion, which again brings me to my point. Just say it's fucking Skynet. It makes it a whole lot less convoluted and messy.
This is all giving me a stroke. Yeah. I mean, just Jesus.
Let's move on. But at the end of the day, what's the fucking point of introducing a new character that fulfills the same purpose as the last one? There's a few more things I gotta talk about too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, Arnie's performance was good, but he's retreading a bunch of shit here. I really didn't like the underwater action scene. I think that was kind of boring.
Oh, it was garbage.
And my big one, the other big thing I haven't touched on yet is the Rev 9. One thing that is interesting that they did try with this that the others haven't done it is this one's better infiltrating than the others. It's more human the way it acts, but they don't really do anything with that. And again too, like why the fuck's it called Terminator if it's made by someone different? I don't like. I think if you look at each Terminator film, one thing I always get excited with the new Terminator film is what's the new gimmick this one has. The first one was a big tank that walked. The second one was like a slim guy that could turn to liquid. The third one, which is my least favorite Terminator, had it could control robotics and it could have a plasma rifle.
It could change its guns.
Yeah, and then in Genesis you get a guy.
Oh, don't forget, it's like
nanobots that. Oh yeah, great. I hated the humor in number 3. To be honest, and in the last one, it was probably the least unique one, where it was like nanobots that could infect a human. So it's kind of it's like a parasite. And this one, it's kind of cool. It's the first and second ones. The exoskeleton can be separated from its liquid form body. But like you said, they don't really do much interesting, cool stuff with it. There is a cool shot where the sledgehammer hits his face and it moves it, but doesn't really do a lot with that.
I won't remember that in a year. Guarantee you. Like, it's not memorable to me.
I think the last thing I got is there are two things I did like about this film. This is the first film we've had, I think, since T2. T3 had moments of it where the overall tone felt closer to what T2 had going on. The fact that they're on this adventure and they had to take times to like, oh, we have to run, we can't fight it. I like when they did that sort of stuff. It felt like T2 in that tone, but that's because it's basically copying the formula. But the overall tone, I like the overall tone of this film in terms of that. It made me nostalgic. And this film so you have these rare moments where they nailed the nostalgia. Like I really liked it where Schwarzenegger's getting ready to go back to fight. He looked down at the glasses, but he put them down. And my favorite moment of this movie, I absolutely love this, and you might hate this, but I love it, is it's an emotional moment. And he's like, well, what'd you tell them? And he goes, I won't be back. It's like, you finally found a creative, they finally found a creative way to use that line because it always feels so fucking forced. And I thought it was really shitty the way that like Linda Hamilton, his character Sarah Connor, said it before. But when he said that, I got the feels. I'm not gonna lie. I love that. I love that moment.
I didn't like. I mean, because it does feel forced. Like, I mean, why is it in there? No. Like from this, felt good. If you're the T-800, you don't know this line.
No. Like all of them don't know the line. Arnold Schwarzenegger says that line in movies that aren't Terminator films. It's always a given. You're gonna get it, right?
I go fuck, dude. It just felt so forced to me. I was just like, I'm good. Like,
I think in terms of context for the character and plot, it made perfect sense. And it was a unique way that they hadn't done before. And it's better. Like Genesis had the worst one. He goes, I'll be back. He just jumps out of plane, attacks someone. Actually, Salvation had a really good one where they're still like, when he's going out, when Christian Bale's going out to do it. And like, what I tell them when you don't return is, when you don't come back, and he just looks back, he's like, I'll be back. Like, that was cool. But like, in 3 where he's like, I'm back, you want to be back. I was like, I'm sick of that. Like, it was overdone.
Wait, I can't remember. How did it happen in 3 again?
I don't think he actually says, I'll be back. He says, I'm back or whatever. It's the only one that they don't fully do it, but like it just seems cheaper. And then I think there's one where he says they won't be back or something like that. Or no, that's right. Sorry, she falls down and he goes, she'll be back.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
that's right.
whatever.
I thought we were about to get a "Come with me if you want to live" from Grace, but I think she changed it.
They halfway did it. She's like, "Come with me, you'll be dead within 30 seconds."
Yeah,
which is
what?
it's like. I get it. They're trying not to make it forced, but they've tried too hard to make it not forced. That's looped around.
That reminded me of Amazing Spider-Man when Uncle Ben is like, if you get called upon to do something, then you have a moral responsibility to do those things. And it's just like, what? That's like
motherfucker, just say with great power comes great responsibility. You're thinking it, I'm thinking it. Let's just get it over with, you know? Look, overall, man, I did have a good time at this film in parts, but overall it was problematic. And I'm trying to decide, I think I like Genesis more because Genesis knew what it was. It was a dumb blockbuster action movie and it stayed kind of true to that. And it did the fan service the right way. This movie has way too many cooks in the kitchen. It's such a mess with what's going on. And I think that they split these ideas over the course of 2 movies. We could have had 2 sets of a good time if you got rid of all that fucking Legion shit, because it makes no fucking sense why they're doing this. It's all like it has the problem that certain movies have when they try and set up a franchise, where they spend so much time trying to establish a franchise that they make a shitty movie in the process. It's basically Iron Man 2. It's my favorite example because that movie spends 5,000 hours trying to set up Avengers. It forgets it's a movie at some points, you know? That's how I feel about this movie. It's constantly just trying to set up Danny as this hero of all time, but we lose attention from Linda Hamilton, who should be the main character of this film. She's the big one on the poster. We barely see Grace in any of these posters, but Linda Hamilton, she feels like a supporting character. Sarah Connor feels like a supporting character in this movie.
That was going to happen though.
But that's fucked up because she's the big draw for this film. She and Arnie are the big draw, and they take a backseat. He comes in halfway through. The only one that's a new element to this film that shines is Mackenzie Davis. I didn't think the Rev 9 was that interesting or great.
I thought the Rev 9 was better than Mackenzie Davis, I think.
You know why I didn't like him? Because he reminded me exactly like the young Terminator, the T-1000 in Genesis. Because weirdly in that movie, instead of getting a Robert Patrick lookalike or trying to recreate Robert Patrick, they just got some like Asian guy who looks like
you know who that is? That's fucking
who was it?
Storm Shadow from G.I. Joe.
Oh really?
Yeah, forgetting his name.
Yeah,
he's a big actor.
Who, like I think okay, fair enough. But like his vibe was so similar to this. Like this guy, even like he wasn't a cop, but he was like some sort of authority, border force guy. So it's like it may as well be a cop.
It's border force, and then it's like Air Force, I think, at the end.
Right, yeah. So it's like, okay, we get it. You're not a cop. And even the action scene at the end, the setting looks like the factory from the end setting of Genesis. So literally every moment of this film feels like it's taken from another Terminator film. It's almost like a Terminator's third greatest hits. Like it's not doing the big moments. It's doing also, like the second ones.
Like this. There were so many times where I just rolled my eyes and like I had my fingers like kind of like on my forehead, just like face palming. Say, do you know where I can get a chopper? Like, come on, dude. Like, are you doing the say that's a nice bike to me right now? Is that what you're saying to me? Is that what's happening right now?
I didn't even think of that.
No, dude. There's just so much shit that's sprinkled in here. It's just like okay, look, it's like if Terminator Genesis was a polished turd, this is a unpolished turd. I'm sorry. Okay, let's talk hypotheticals. How do you want this franchise to move forward? Because look, let's break this down because I kind of this is what I want. This is a concept. Terminator 1 and 2 are concepts that shouldn't really be drawn out past 2 movies. I think the the one target, each side sends back one, I guess, champion to either protect or kill that target. I think that can only be used so many times. And in this, man, it just felt so old to me. And I was just like, man, we need something else to be done with this franchise. And I think that's why Terminator Salvation was onto something. I want to see a post-apocalyptic film where it all takes place after the nukes fly, because I want to see how that war happens. I want to see what else happens beyond that. Like I want to see something so far removed from this tried and true formula that we know of that is getting so stale for audiences and for me, that I just want to see. I want to see more of this. I do want to see more of this world, because I definitely love, like, I love the designs of the Terminators. I love the designs of the Hunter Killers. I want to see more of it. I like Skynet, but I want to see more of it, and I want to see that in the future. I want it to take place somewhere so far removed that it doesn't feel stale anymore. I want it fresh, and I think that's why Terminator Salvation was on the right track. What about you? How do you see, like, the franchise going forward?
Okay, how I think it's realistic for it to go forward,
Not
or
realistic.
I'd like to see it go forward?
No. Let's, because we know realistic will probably be dog shit again. So yeah.
I've actually been thinking a lot about this too, and congratulations, you have walked into Matt Vella's top 5 Terminator sequel pitches. Are you ready? Number 1, just like you said, a post-apocalyptic, give us the future war, dark skies, purple lasers. Give us Salvation with the purple lasers and shit. Hell, Linda Hamilton can be in it if you want. Just give us that. It's the first 10-15 minutes of Genesis made into a full movie, except it's amazing. Boom, there you go. And not only are you finding this, like, the robot exoskeletons, but there's T-1000s too. Wow, bellissimo. Love it. Let's do that. Number 2. What are the fucking chances that always it's only 2 people that go back in time? One good, one bad. It seems kind of ridiculous, right? I don't think that's believable at all. I think Skynet should send 100 Terminators back in time. They send an army
that's what
of like 100
right?
Schwarzeneggers. Maybe, but they came like 2 years apart or whatever.
Yeah.
This time we get like 100 Arnold Schwarzeneggers, and then the humans, the army has to like fight off the future war in the present time, and then that way it's like a zombie film. It's like a post-apocalyptic film. You're fucking running away from 1,000 Terminators coming after you. Bellissimo, love it. Number 3, I've just decided it's going to be 3 and not 5 because I can't think of any more. But here's my favorite one.
I have a fourth one for you. Yeah.
Wait for it. Okay, here's the best one anyone's going to come up with, okay? Are you ready? You know what? I'm going to give you, it's going to be a 2 for 1, okay? You're going to get 2 out of this, right? We're going to do a full-on reboot of the franchise. I need some franchise Viagra, okay? You're going to go back to the roots. We're going to get a horror movie. The first Terminator was like a slasher, except instead of a sword, he had a gun, right? But it can't be Arnold. He's too old for this now. We need a new Terminator. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is a Terminator. No, hear me. No. And he's not Dwayne Johnson. He's playing a T-800. He's got to talk like this. And look, the thing is, he's the most biggest, muscliest dude ever. When he walks slow, it'll be scary as fuck. And you get someone younger, like
I think
to run away. We're doing Terminator 1, but it's a horror movie again. I know this is something Dwayne Johnson would never agree to.
No,
he's like his ego up his butt.
Yeah,
but we need that shit. Or even more so,
John Cena.
If you want to save some money, yeah, I was going to say that. If you want to save some money, make it John Cena.
Choice.
Even better. In fact, John Cena
is more wooden.
More wooden, yeah. So it worked to his advantage. You give us John Cena. He goes back in time. He's trying to kill someone. Like it's fuck it. You can get Khaleesi to do it again if you want, or you can get someone new. Just it could be Jennifer Lawrence if you really want it to be. I don't care who it is.
But have
him go up. Maybe someone younger actually. But anyways, go with that. But then you need a sequel, right? How you gonna do T2? Boom. You wanna do some Days of Future Past shit? Now you get the new Terminator, find the old Terminator. What's that? You get Arnold Schwarzenegger back in, fighting the new one. That's what I was getting at before. I would love to see Arnold Schwarzenegger fight Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but I'll settle for fucking John Cena.
Yeah,
and
look,
then boom, you can bring him back in.
that's going to be a hard pass for me. But anyway.
Fuck you, give me my Oscar. That sounds amazing.
I have one.
Dude, imagine another horror Terminator film.
Yeah.
Imagine we get another horror film. They keep doing these action movies, and it's like one guy versus one guy.
I'm definitely
and it's
down for the horror element for sure.
It's done.
Yeah.
Give us something new.
I have a.
What do you got?
I have an outline, right? It's very vague and it's very brief, but I have like a premise. If we do the whole let's send one champion back each, right, kind of thing. Well, sorry, not each, because in this one, I would like to see a representation of Skynet be the target of the resistance. So I would like to see the formula reversed, if that makes sense. So, let's say you're Miles Dyson, right? Your main character is Miles Dyson from Terminator 2, and you get people from the future, the resistance fucking people being sent back, not one, multiple. And you have
Miles Dyson's played by Michael B. Jordan. And continue.
I was thinking Idris Elba, but okay.
Okay, I'll take that.
But do you see what I'm getting at? Like, I kind of like the whole, because you can play a lot of morality of it all. You know, I mean, like, I know the fucking T2 dealt with that quite a bit, but like, I don't know who's going to protect. I guess it'll be kind of like a reverse, sort of like it'll be a darker film. It'll be like Skynet is going to send their own Terminator back or something, and it's just going to.
I've got the missing sauce.
Go.
I've got the missing sauce for your thing, right? So you want to flip it. You got to flip it the whole way, right? You're only halfway there.
Yeah.
No, so you've got a Terminator protecting a person from the resistance.
Yeah.
So the resistance, they've got to kill. Maybe it's Miles Dyson or someone.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then the Terminator, like, they've got to get to him, but maybe it's a heist film and stuff, but it's hard to get to him because there's Terminators around. And that way you can still get your little robot and shit going on.
I like that, you know, this has some potential for the Terminator to somehow, I guess, if you go the Dark Fate route, develop somewhat of a conscience and kind of figure out whether the creation of Skynet is right. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it can start fucking with its inner sort of like programming. I don't know. Like, it's just a fucking idea that I just kind of came up with. But you know what? Not a bad idea. Better than fucking Terminator Dark Fate. Sorry.
There's so many more things you could do. The TV show, Sarah Connor Chronicles, touching some other things as well. Yeah. But the thing is, it's always been people on the run from a robot. But you could switch it up. Since they're an action movie now, hey, maybe you have like the Terminator Force or whatever, and it's like 5 Terminators go back in time to stop something else. Maybe if they want to continue this on, the next movie is Skynet versus Legion. They travel across time and do some shit.
The thing about the Terminator franchise, like the bad one is always a scarier version of the good one that's sent back, right? Like, it's like in the first one, Kyle Reese is a human who's up against a T-800. In the second one, you've got an outdated T-800 against a fucking new and improved T-1000. In this, it's one, like in my version, it's one T-800 that's kind of like fucked up. It's an older model, and versing a death squad of like fucking the top resistance members. Like, do you know what I mean?
Sounds great.
Sounds fucking awesome. I'm down for that. But anyway, man, do you have anything else to say about Terminator? Give us your score before we head out of here. We've been talking about Terminator for nearly an hour.
You might hate me, but overall, like, I do have a love for. I'm very biased. I do love this franchise. I'm one of the few people who will defend Genesis. I'm not saying it's great, but I'm saying it's got great moments. This movie has less great moments though, but I like elements of this film, but I just hate the overall vision of it. I think I'm going to give it it's definitely passable. And if if you try and detach a fanboyness from it, you can learn to like it. It's just the whole passing of the torch thing it's hard to swallow because it's not great. And I hate the way it ends with killing off the character of Grace and killing off the character of Carl. And you leave us with the two that have been the least engaging, I feel. It makes me not want a sequel. I don't want to see Dark Fate 2. I would see if it came out. It's just a shame because we just saw Halloween do the same ideas so well. revitalize a franchise
Much
with a
better.
sequel to the second one, with an older lady and put her in strong force and power. And you know that inspired them to do this, but they showed you every way to do it wrong. What made Halloween great is they kept it simple. This the most complicated film, so I'm going to give it a 6. I think.
All right. Well, I mean, there's little that I can find merit in here, and I thought about it long and hard, and yeah, this is a 3. It doesn't pass for me at all, nowhere close. I don't think I'll be revisiting this movie again. I haven't revisited Genesis since it came out, and I think in hindsight, Genesis kind of beats this. I'm sorry, I know.
I've been trying to think of that, and I think Genesis is better. And I never understood why it got a lot of hate. I think the idea of turning John Connor into a Terminator, that would rightfully piss off a lot of people. Probably not as much as killing him off in the first scene.
Better than that.
But you know what? Genesis had a really cool theme of like old but not obsolete, and like he's
great first half hour.
Yeah, the first half hour is just so much love for the fans. I hate how they have to time travel halfway through it. I feel like that's lazy writing, but it was fun.
Let's not talk about Genesis again, and let's not talk about Terminator Dark Fate again, because man, this is garbage versus hot garbage. So, well, in my opinion,
I will say this though, I will be there day one for any more Terminator films. I love the Terminator franchise.
Wait, you weren't there day one for this? I was there day one.
I wish I was.
Fair enough.
All
right, man. All right. Plug the socials. Let's get us the fuck out of here. This is a long episode.
And if you want to hang out with us with Midnight Double Feature, make sure you find us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on the Instagram. We're on Twitter. You name it. We are there, ready to give you one big yummy hug. If you want to be our BFFs for life, you can find us on our Facebook community group. It's called The After Party Midnight Double Feature. We post our memes and our thoughts ahead of time sometimes, and we like to just chat it up with you guys and show a bit of love. And it's always a great time. If you want us to talk about something on the podcast, that's your best way to put it out there. And have some, as if you like the conversations that happened here, then oh boy, you should see the ones that happen there. They get a bit heated sometimes. They have a lot of fun, and it's always great chatting with you guys. Please give us a review on iTunes. Give us 5 stars if you liked it. If you didn't like it, hit us up on social media. Send us a DM. We can chat it out a little bit more. In the meantime, I'm Matt, and that's Zoheb. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. We got a new feature presentation coming out soon, which is Alien, which will be awesome.
Aliens.
Sorry,
make
Aliens.
That distinction.
Yes, very different films, Alien to Aliens. Also, Zoheb, just go back to that Terminator conversation.
Yeah.
A sequel that they need to make.
Oh my
I got one more for you. I don't know what it's about. I'm just going to give you a name. Terminators.
Hey.
You got Predators, you got Aliens, give us Terminators.
Yeah, and that's...
Maybe it's 2 gone back in time to kill 1 person.
Fuck.
There you go.
You know what we didn't talk about? We didn't even talk about James Cameron being back. I'm not going to go back for that. But fuck it. Sorry. You know how I feel about producers. You
You can, if you want to know our thoughts about James Cameron, we had a very big conversation with that in the after party. You can check that out. See, I brought that back into a plug.
Nice.
I'm just that good, bro.
Nice.
That's
you
me.
deserve a raise.
That's why they pay me the big bucks, baby. Anyways, thanks very much for hanging out with us.
Guys.
Until next time, guys, don't forget to wash your undies. See ya. But that's my new catchphrase, by the way. I just came up with that.
Oh, that's great.
What the fuck is that?